Somebody's going to have to Ron Aline, who isn't even dressed after hurting himself last week. First time in 37 games that he's going to miss an entire game.
That's right. And you take into account, too, his presence on the defensive side of the ball, the fact that he completely alters the way a team approaches the kicking game. We joked about before going on the air with one of the DMA assistants about throwing him out there and just using him as a decoy so they would kick the ball out of bounds every time. But one of the things you lose with him, it's amazing how much with Boyd, Dior Boyd, the sophomore receiver who's had a stellar season, with he and Aline out of the game, it accounts for 62% of their pass offense. And with Aline out of the game, along with Gaddy and Maxwell, who also will not play, it's 86% of their run offense that is missing from this game. Now, Joe Deal has had a nice season, 32 of 63 on the season, 472 yards. 7 touchdowns. He did throw 2 interceptions last week as they're trying to bounce back. But tonight it's going to be interesting. They're going to give a freshman, Devin Green, 5'4", 145 pounds, 11 carries only on the season. He's going to get the bulk of the backfield duties. One of the guys I think is going to have to step up tonight, John, in the receiving game is Austin Edmonds, the big tight end. He hasn't really shown a lot of down the field acumen, but he is one of those guys who's a great possession receiver. He may have to go above and beyond tonight.
Comes in with just 4 catches for 65 yards and a touchdown. That's Austin Edmonds. So as you said, with Boyd out, he is going to have to step up. You know, one of the things that impressed me the most about their team last week, despite the loss, is for the first time that I can remember in their short varsity history, they're a two-dimensional team. They've got a throwing game and a throwing attack, and of course they've got Aline. And so It's going to be important for Edmonds to step up so they can continue to that. Speaking of their short history, they've had a successful one. They've made the playoffs 3 times, but they have yet to take that next step of winning a playoff game. Just like when it starts to look like they have a legitimate shot to contend for the Division II title, they pick up an unexpected loss during the regular season, and they go into the playoffs and lose their first game, no matter who it is or no matter where they're ranked. So that's got to be the primary goal. You know, Mike Ryan will tell you it's to get to the playoffs, but nobody can tell me that it's not to win a playoff game.
Absolutely. And last year they really looked like they were set up for a phenomenal finish to the year. They went 9-1 in the regular season. They secured the number 1 seed for the playoffs. They brought in the number 8 seed Del Mar, who probably, in all fairness, is one of the better number 8 seeds ever since the tournament went to 8 teams. They went out to a 13-0 halftime lead before Del Mar just turned it on both sides of the ball and ran away with that one. 4 out of the last 7 years, DMA has advanced the first round of the playoffs. They've come close a couple times, but there's just been no cigar there, so to speak. So, yeah, this is something. Mike Ryan's built such a nice program here. Some others came before him, did a really nice job. But they just haven't been able to get over the hump. And you feel like with the players they have, especially these guys can come back healthy in the next couple of weeks, this may be the year.
And the team they're playing has been over the hump. They've got 3 state titles under Frank Moffitt Jr., who's in his 16th year here at Hodgson. He's another Delaware boy, played at Caesar Rodney High School way back when, and he's got his Silver Eagles out to a 4-0 start. They made the jump to Division I last year for the first time in his school history, made it all the way to the semifinals. Their offense is solid at all the skills positions. And, Marty, I was shocked how many are underclassmen.
They are. I mean, it is amazing how young but experienced this team is. You start with the quarterback, C.J. Henry. He started all season last year as a freshman. He ended up throwing 9 touchdown passes on the season. He's already got 12 through 4 games this season. He's just shy of 1,000 yards passing. Again, 12 touchdowns, only 4 interceptions, and 3 of those interceptions came in the Week 1 win against a very good Sussex Central defense. He threw 1 in Week 2. He has not thrown 1 since. They have 5 guys who have at least 1 touchdown catch and 100 yards receiving. They love to spread the ball around. And, John, if you look at the total yards list for Hodgson, you have to go all the way down to number 6 on the list before you find the Where's Waldo's senior on that team, which is Daniel Douglas, who's the only senior really that's making a huge contribution on the offensive side of the ball.
And just as good as they are on offense, they've got a lot of skilled athletes on the defense. They're big and quick up front, and they're in the middle and the backfield. They're lights out fast.
They really are. This is a team that prides itself on defense. Last year, they had the 2017 Lineman of the Year, was voted on by the All-State Committee. Jalik Hayward, who signed with the Maine Black Bears, is on their travel squad. I saw this week. Yeah, Amir Mitchell is a kid who's really picked up the slack on that defense. 5 sacks, leads the team with 32 tackles. Again, the senior, Daniel Douglas, 17 tackles, 4 interceptions. You have Eric Shipko, who's a junior, with 19 tackles. And a lot of these guys for Hodgson, these superior athletes on the offensive side, are also playing on the defensive side of the ball. So you've got a lot of speed and quickness on both sides.
Good lead in when you mentioned Daniel Douglas. He is our DFRC Blue Gold All-Star player to watch. He's got, as you mentioned, 4 interceptions, 9 catches, averages 13.3 yards a catch. He plays wide receiver and defensive back. Mark your calendars now for the 64th DFRC Blue Gold All-Star football game on June 22nd, 2019 at Delaware Stadium. Be a part of this Delaware tradition that works to celebrate the abilities of people living with intellectual challenges and enrich the lives of Delawareans with intellectual disabilities. Help support the DFRC Blue Gold All-Star football game today at dfrc.org. All right, coming up next, we're going to take a look at a couple of the big games we would go see if we weren't here at Baynard Stadium tonight, where we're thrilled to bring you tonight's game against Delaware Military Academy and Hodgson Rotec on Fox Sports 1290 and live on 302 Sports. Earl, it might be a quick segment to get right back to you.
Unique Image opened for business in Wilmington, Delaware in 1979 with one focus, wowing our customers with great products and even greater customer service. 30 years later, we are still doing exactly that. Whether you're looking for marketing tools to promote your business, gifts for your employees or clients, or planning a special event, we're here with the voice of experience to help you every step of the way for your complete satisfaction. Visit our new showroom in the Mill Creek Shopping Center, 4577 Kirkwood Highway. Unique Image, you envision, we create. Mr. Italian began his career in home finance in 2002 as a mortgage consultant. Since 2002, Brian has helped over 1,000 home buyers achieve their dreams of owning a home. Brian's knowledge of current market conditions and his detailed evaluation of buyers' finances ensures that each buyer will receive the best mortgage to fit their needs. Brian is often commended on how efficient and effortless he makes the mortgage process for everyone from first-time home buyers to investors to experienced buyers. For the loan that fits you, contact Brian today. Mr. Italian.
Life's too short to hate your home. Remodel your home with the pros voted Delaware's #1 home improvement company. Ferris Home Improvements has something for every homeowner at their new showroom on the corner of Kirkwood Highway and Harmony Road in Newark, Delaware. Explore products and layouts with the area's top designers. Touch and feel products that inspire your dream space. Ferris Home Improvements' pride in the details make them the area's best in roofing, windows and doors, siding, decks, kitchens, and bathrooms. Want a professional, no-pressure remodel? Go see the best at the Big Shamrock on Kirkwood Highway. Ferris Home Improvements. Quality workmanship from a neighbor you can trust.
As a military wife, I love helping our airmen and their families with financial tools to help provide financial stability.
I promise to make a positive difference in your financial life, from helping you to lower your payments to discovering ways to help you save for your children's future.
From the needs of college students and first-time auto buyers, I promise to identify and take ownership of your needs.
Local people, local decisions, Dover Federal Credit Union.
Welcome back to Baynard Stadium. John Busby along with Marty Sheehan. We're getting set for kickoff, and Mike Ryan is out talking to the referee. I think he's figured out what we figured out. They were DMA. Hodgson won the toss, deferred to DMA, and somebody on DMA said that they were going to kick off.
Yes, which would mean that Hodgson our DMA would never. It's just an odd situation.
Yeah,
you don't
never see that.
never see teams do that.
And now they're calling out
Yes.
Frank Moffitt, and I think they're going to discuss about how somebody made the wrong call,
Yes.
and can we please change it? And
because basically DMA or Hodgson would receive both
twice.
the opening
Right.
kickoff of
Right.
each half. Yes.
And so I think Mike and Frank will work this out. I'll be surprised if they can't. But either way, we got the number 3 team in Division I, the Hodgson Silver Eagles, going against the number 9 team DMA. Hodgson's got 4 wins. DMA rolled into last week's game against St. Elizabeth, scoring tons of points, giving up absolutely 0. The lone touchdown they had given up at that point was on a fumble that the defense then ran back in, and so the defense for Milford. And so it really was a shock to see St. Elizabeth. I don't want to say it was a shock that they won. It was a shock that they won in what seemed like a relatively easy fashion, even though the scoreboard didn't show it. I just never felt like DMA had a shot to win that game.
No, he didn't. And we talked about early on how it appeared that Marvin Dooley was using Ray Jones as almost a mirror for Karan Aline. And everywhere Aline went, whether it was out in a pass pattern, whether it was taking an inside or outside handoff, Ray Jones and this cadre of linebackers was all over him. But you're right, it just never felt like DMA was really in it. The passing game never got going. They never got guys open. The St. Elizabeth's defensive backfield did a masterful job. Sometimes they had 3, 4, 5 guys back there. But yeah, you just never got the feeling. Of course, we find out later that Karan Aline's been banged up for a couple weeks.
Right.
And you and I have always said he's got the quickest 0 to 60 on the handoff of anybody we've seen. And that just wasn't there last week. He never seemed to get past the initial contact very cleanly, and that usually set him up to be tackled by one of the St. Elizabeth's linebackers.
Yeah, and the other thing that we didn't realize until we were talking to one of the coaches ahead of the game, we knew that Dante Pazzi was out for the season. He had a compound fracture in the Milford game, unfortunately. What we didn't know, because it's not listed on the sheet, is that he was the center of the team, and there were several snaps last week that went awry to the right or to the left. And I can't remember whether any was actually fumbled, but anytime you have a bad snap, no matter where it goes, it's not good.
No, and they did. They had the ball ricochet off Deal's shin. It went back to the line of scrimmage. St. Elizabeth fell on it. They turned that into a score. So it's one of those things, and the center is usually the anchor of the line. They're one of those guys that call out the protection schemes, and to lose Dante Posey, a senior again, who's really been the heart and soul of that, along with, I would probably say, Jacob Hudson is the other guy on that line that's done a really, really nice job for them this season. Yeah, it's been a difficult adjustment. Then you add in all these skill position players, and they're in an uphill battle tonight.
All right, so the meeting between the coaches and the officials is over. I still can't tell. Now it does look like DMA is going to kick off, so I guess it's official. It's official, no matter what should have happened. Mike Ruggieri is going to kick off, so it's a lesson learned that I guess you pay attention to whether you won or lost and what you're going to do if you don't. And we're not sure which of the 5 captains made the decision. But either way, Mike Ruggieri is going to be kicking off right to left. DMA has switched uniforms, but we're sad to say the numbers aren't a whole lot clearer. Although, I have to say, Marty, it's a little bit better because the outline of the blue on blue at least is in gold.
Yes, it is.
Last week, the outline of the gray on gray was in light blue. And so you could almost barely get anything. And so they're going to be kicking off right to left from the 40. The kicking is away, and it's going to be taken by Bobby Arnold, the star running back. And actually, he gets it back to Cameron Thomas. And Cameron Thomas comes out. There's a flag on the play. And he's around the 40 to the 30, and he's going to go all the way, but I think it's going to be just enough that they're going to have to turn around and come back. So what looked like about an 85-yard return for a touchdown is probably going to be coming back. It is. There was a hold, and so the first penalty of the night saved a touchdown if you are DMA.
And this will end up being about a 70 to 75-yard penalty on Hodgson. Cameron Thomas, again, took that return. 266 receiving yards on the season, a couple touchdowns. He's been one of the go-to wide receivers for Kurt Henry. You could see it on that return, the blazing speed. But Hodgson also did a great job setting up a wall for him. Unfortunately, there was either a hold or an illegal block at the very beginning, which sprung him. So it's one of those situations where it's not like it was meaningless. It happened right in front of the runner.
And so I was shielded. We're in a small box here, and instead of leaning all the way over to look, I saw Bobby Arnold, and the football went to the left and ended up in Cameron Thomas's arms on that return here. We're at Baynard Stadium where we have our own little box, but the window is about 3/4 of the length of the box itself, and so it's one of those lean and looks with every single play. So Hodgson is going to start the ball on their own 20-yard line, moving left to right as we see it. Their number's a little bit easier to see with the white jerseys, the maroon pants, and the maroon helmet. C.J. Henry, the sophomore, is in at quarterback, and it's a quick flip back to Bobby Arnold. We got another flag. I think somebody moved Arnold early. Arnold gets around to the 40, to the 50, and he's got one man to beat if it holds, and he does beat that man to the 20, 10, and touchdown for Bobby Arnold. But again, this is coming back.
I don't think I've ever seen two touchdowns of more than 75 yards called back on the first two plays of the game. Arnold, again, I'm not sure where it occurred in terms of how it sprung him. He did a great job evading the last runner down the field, but again, all for naught. And right away, Hodgson's been hit with two penalties that have cost them in excess of 160 yards.
And their offense has to be tired because they've now sprinted 160 yards to follow the touchdown. Marty, I saw the flag right away, and I thought I saw somebody move. So I think it's actually going to be an illegal motion penalty. It's not anything that sprung Arnold. We'll get that confirmation in just a second. But the flag came out almost immediately. And so they're discussing it right now. They are going to march it back 5 yards, and so it is going to be a 5-yard illegal motion penalty. The referee's getting ready to give us the signal right now. Illegal shift. And so it had nothing to do with the end of the run. But what we've seen is the explosiveness already of this Hodgson offense and what they can do.
We have. And you know what's amazing? I'm surprised they didn't blow that whistle dead. That play lasted a long time. I'm not sure why they wouldn't. Once Arnold broke away from the defense, I guess – in case there was a defensive penalty, I'm not sure why you let that go.
I also think it might be because of the shift. I think depending on when the shift happens, the illegal shift they call it, this is to give up the middle, and it looks like it is Arnold, and he's going to fight his way. Doesn't get back to the original line. Actually, he does get back to the original line of scrimmage. Going to bring up a 2nd and 10. So finally, the third play of the game for Hodgson goes without a penalty.
And the funny thing is, Arnold's already asking for a break. I mean, he's run both. He was on the kick return team that went about 75 yards. He was on this team. He's now, they might be looking at him for a cramp on the sideline 3 plays into the game. That offensive play by Hodgson, just a handoff right up the middle, almost felt like we need to catch our breath here for a minute run to kind of reset themselves and start running their offense.
And so in the backfield now, it looks like it's Joshua Ames, a freshman running back.
And we have another penalty.
And this is a delay of game on Hodgson. So the time it took for Arnold to go out unexpectedly, and he's working on his shoe over there. And so it wasn't a cramp, fortunately for them, but this is going to cost them 5 yards. So we've really only had one official play from scrimmage, and we've now got 3 penalties on Hodgson. Cost them 2 touchdowns so far. And now it's brought up a 2nd and 15. And the ball is spotted on looks like the 17-yard line. Again, we're at a tough angle here. We'll do our best to give you the most accurate information we can. And Henry is back, and he's looking deep. And the receiver has broken free, but he's going to overthrow Elijah Lewis, the junior wide receiver. Coverage there by Andrew Hodgson. Had his man just overthrew him.
He did. That's one of those situations where Kurt Henry or C.J. Henry will learn that. He actually wants to throw that a little bit more towards the middle of the field. He let it so that his receiver had to look over the opposite shoulder when he went for that catch. Just makes it that much more difficult. But overall in the season, they've done a great job getting behind the defense, and they had the receiver wide open there, Elijah Lewis, the junior.
He leads the team in touchdowns with 5, averages 23.7 yards a game, his longest, a 63-yarder, and he's got 2 touchdowns, so that man can fly. 3rd and 15, ball still on the 17, and the rush is on, and Henry gets out of the first one, spins out of the second would-be tackler, fires it deep, and overthrows his man. Wide open was Najee Lally, the sophomore slot back, and overthrown, and so it's going to bring on the punting team for Hodgson.
Boy, C.J. Henry's full display of skills was shown on that play right there. 2 spin moves to avoid a sack in the backfield, and then again had Daniel Douglas wide open, but a little miscommunication. Douglas sort of sat down and was giving him a target to throw to. C.J. Henry thought he was going to continue going deep, so just a miscommunication. But again, I mean, we're looking at 4 potential touchdowns that Hodgson had on that drive. They end up punting the ball and losing 5 yards in the possession.
On the punt will be Jose.
And the punt gets the snap
Lopez.
gets away.
And he gets it away.
Wow.
So a bad snap, and Jose Lopez gets it.
This is an interesting game so far, John. For some
started.
reason, Hodgson stopped that punt from rolling. Bobby Arnold, it sort of bounced up into his chest, and he figured, hey, I'm standing here. Why not grab it? May have cost his team a little bit in field position, but how the big kicker, Jose, got away there. He was dead to rights in the end zone, what looked like was going to be a safety. He shifted his weight a little bit, got out of the way, and really got off a phenomenal punt out to the 40-yard line.
And so not the start you would expect. DMA
No.
gets the call and the toss, chooses the kick, or it gets deferred to them, chooses the kick, and then 2 touchdowns get called back on penalties, a bad snap, a punt that Josue does everything he can with it, and DMA starts out on their the 40-yard line of Hodgson. It's a quick out to Hodgson, and he's going to get up to the 31-yard line, and so it's going to bring up a 2nd and short. So if you're Joe Deal, who struggled a little bit last week, you're happy to get that first pass completed to one of your best receivers, Andrew Hodgson, who averages over 10 yards a catch.
Absolutely, and I love the fact that they're going with some tempo here. Again, these Hodgson kids, a lot of them play on both sides of the ball. They did a lot of running on that opening possession, so I love Mike Ryan and DMA coming out trying to take advantage of by going to the air right away.
Deal is in the shotgun formation. Devin Green, the freshman, gets the start for Karan Aline. Karan Aline has played in 37 straight games dating back to his freshman season, and the give is to Green, and he tries to get over the right side and gets met immediately, and it looks like it's going to be a loss of about 2. Going to bring up a 3rd, and we're going to call it 4.
And it's important to point out, again, Green is a freshman. He is 5'4", 145 pounds, not what you picture as a typical tailback. They've been forced into this. I'm sure he's a part of their future, but somebody they probably wanted to go to a little bit further down the line. Again, they've lost 3 running backs, and I was told by one of the assistant coaches that this is it. This is the last varsity running back that was on the roster coming into tonight's game.
And so Green is lined up behind Deal. Another penalty is thrown, so already this will be the 4th penalty. The question is whether it's going to be the 4th on Hodgson or the 1st in DMA. Waiting for the official signal here. It looks like they're going to back DMA up. And it is going to be an illegal motion, so DMA picks up its first penalty. It's going to turn a 3rd and short into a 3rd and long. Looks like it's going to be 3rd and 9 at the 39-yard line.
Boy, if you're an Avengers fan out there, I feel like we've used the time stone to travel back to the beginning of August when camp started. We've seen pretty much every mistake you could possibly make by both of these teams, and we're only about 7 snaps into this game.
And so speaking of snap, Deal's in the shotgun formation. He, of course, has a new center because Pazzi got a compound fracture back in the Milford game. There was some trouble snapping the ball last week. This one's a good snap, but unfortunately for Devin Green, he takes it and gets hit immediately in the backfield.
That's Amir Mitchell.
Wow.
He has been the star of this team, and if you watch tape, he does that all the time. He lines up left, right, and at middle linebacker. He shifts his positioning there so the offensive line doesn't know where to go. That time he shot through the gap between the center and the guard, just immediately took down the running back. So a great job by Amir Mitchell and this Hodgson defense after what looked like a little bit of a shaky start on that possession.
And so it's actually going to be Joe Deal into punt for DMA. We watched him warm up. We know he can punt. Back for Hodgson, it's Cameron Thomas, and the ball is kind of a squib kick. Deal's not happy with himself. It's going to end up going out of bounds, and we'll see where they end up marking it. The officials are looking at each other, and still waiting for them to stop.
It's like officially about a 7-yard punt on. It was kind of went off the end of Deal's foot, or the edge of Deal's foot, the side of his foot. Ends up going 7 yards of field position. So DMA going to set up in very good field position at their own, looks like around 36, 37-yard line.
And there's 7:50 to play. No score. 2 touchdowns, but both were called back by Hodgson.
And 2 passes that, frankly, probably should have been touchdowns from Hodgson that were just a tad overthrown.
Exactly. A big thanks to our partners, NKN Films, for their outstanding design of our 2018 high school football schedule poster. Visit nknfilms.com for all your video needs. 1st and 10 for Hodgson, moving left to right in the white jerseys, maroon pants. C.J. Henry drops back, fires it out, looking for his man Lally, but it's thrown at his feet, out of bounds, going to bring up a 2nd down.
I'm impressed so far with the fact that DMA's front 4 have gotten consistent pressure on C.J. Henry. Now, he's been able to spin away from it most times. He was not able to that time. He was forced to throw that a little bit faster than he wanted to. Right now, DMA going with man-to-man coverage with 1 safety deep. So far, nice job of keeping DMA from the big play, although there was a couple that C.J. Henry probably would like that back.
3 wide receivers out to the right, 1 to the left. They're moving left to right from the left hash mark. It looked like somebody moved early. No flag. C.J. Henry rolls out, finds his man. That's looks like Thomas, and he's tackled immediately by Hodgson, but not until he got across the 46-yard line. Going to be short of the 1st down. Looks like it's going to be 3rd and 1.
Another nice job by Henry there. Hodgson loves to roll out to the right. They'll do it to the short side. They'll do it to the field side. It doesn't matter. Henry does a nice job. There's so many receivers out in the pattern. That time they had the zone flooded with 4 receivers. Somebody's bound to get open.
Ball's on the right side of the field now, closest to us, moving left to right or north to south, if you're familiar with Baynard Stadium. 2 wide receivers out to the right, 2 out to the left. Both slots are filled with 2 of those forward. Arnold is on the right hip of Henry. It's a fake to Arnold, and it's a quick out to Thomas. Thomas makes 1 move and picks up, looks like he's got enough for the 1st down, and he does. They're going to mark the ball at the 49-yard line. Actually, the one ref has it at the 49 of DMA. The ref on this side where he went out of bounds has it at the 49 of Hodgson, and that is where they are going to put it.
And that was a nice job of Hodgson just to pick up the 1st down with a little out pass to the short side of the field. Elijah Lewis there with a good block on his defender to make sure Thomas was able to pick up the yardage for the 1st down.
DMA has done a nice job of avoiding the big outburst, and now we'll see if they can hold here. 1st and 10 on the 49, 6:57 to play. No score. Bobby Arnold goes in motion right to left. He's going to end up stopping about as far away as he can get from his quarterback. Henry drops back, looks right, fires, has his man. That's Najee Lally, who's tackled immediately at the 45-yard line, going to bring up a 2nd and 4.
Najee Lally is another kid who's been a big part of this offense, a sophomore, 12 catches, 179 yards and 3 touchdowns. Another one of those speed merchants. They'll send 4 out almost in every play pattern. And, you know, they remind me of Smyrna in that they use every bit of the field that you're allowed to use. It's about 53 yards width. They use about 48 of those as they're allowed.
2 wide receivers heading to the other side. 1 will stay in the slot, and 1 stays closest to us here as C.J. Henry is in the shotgun formation. Bobby Arnold has yet to carry the ball, so much for that. To the 40, 30, 25, and nobody's going to catch him. Touchdown, Bobby Arnold. Hodgson takes a 6-0 lead, 45 yards into the end zone.
That was just a simple handoff up the middle. That's one of those situations where the 4 receivers run their guys off, so the corners and the safety are occupied. By the time they realize that Arnold's gotten through the first stage of the defense, he's turned on the burners, and all he has to do is put on 1 move. That time he actually didn't even have to do that, a straight line to the end zone. So much for avoiding the big play so far for DMA.
5-play, 63-yard drive, and with a 45-yard scamper into the end zone, untouched by Bobby Arnold. On to kick the extra point is Josue Avila-Lopez. He is 5 of 8 on the year. Snap is back. The hold is down by Thomas. The kick is up, and it is good. So with 6:05 to play, Hodgson has found its way into the end zone for the 3rd time tonight. But the first time that a touchdown wasn't called back for the penalty, they have taken a 7-0 lead over DMA. You're listening to the Game of the Week on Fox Sports 1290 and watching it live on 302 Sports.
Hi, I'm Scott Kammerer from Soto Concepts. Soto Concepts is an award-winning restaurant group on the culinary coast with 10 locations. We're a chef-driven group. Come check us out. See you soon. Soto Concepts believes in the vision of our founder, Matt Haley: cook beautiful, simple food, develop the people we work with, and make the world a better place. Soto Concepts on the culinary coast with 10 locations from Lois, Delaware to Fenwick Island. Come check us out.
.63 yards, capped by a 45-yard touchdown run by Hodgson sophomore Bobby Arnold, and the Silver Eagles, ranked number 3 in the Division I polls, have taken a 7-0 lead over DMA with 6:05 to play in the first quarter. Josue Lopez boots it away. The kick is taken at the 12-yard line. A couple blockers to the 30, or actually to the 25, and taken down there. And there is a penalty flag on the play. So just as there was on the initial kickoff, we've got a penalty flag on this one as well. 4 penalties already tonight, 3 for Hodgson, 1 on DMA. And the referee is yelling over to the DMA side, and it's going to be an illegal block in the back, and so that will cost them some yardage. And so what would have been starting on their own 27 is going to be backed up.
And already, John, you see the lack of, I can't think of a better way to put it, the lack of respect for the DMA return game there. If Karan Aline is in the game, there's no way they're kicking that ball deep to the 15-yard line. So with him out of there, it really changes how you approach the kicking game. Hodgson able to pin DMA deep here because they really don't have as much fear as they normally would.
So with 5:58 to play, they're going to start on their own 22-yard line. Joe Deal in at quarterback. He drops back, and he swings it out to Devin Green, the freshman running back, who's in for Aline, and he gets up to the 20-yard line before he is taken down there by Brandon Shimko.
Devin Green, a nice little nifty move there to pick up about 4 yards on first down. If you're DMA, this is what you want to do all night long. You'd love to eat up the clock. You'd love to ball control, passing offense. They're not going to do too much deep simply because they don't have a lot of deep threats right now.
And so it's going to bring up a second and 6, we'll call it. Deal is in the more like a pistol formation with Devin Green behind him, 1 wide receiver out to the right, 1 to the left, and 1 in the slot. And this is a pitch to Devin Green around the left side, and he is met immediately and brought back by Tashawn Fitzgerald of Hodgson. And it's going to be a loss there. It's just a matter of how much of his forward momentum they give him. And it looks like they're going to mark the ball on about the 18-yard line. So they're moving the wrong way after that first play.
We talked about Hodgson's speed and their quickness. Their lateral pursuit is fantastic on defense. And Green, if he's not able to get away, he just simply doesn't have the body mass to get away from those initial tacklers. So unless he can shift or get some good blocks, it may be a long night for Devin Green.
3rd and 9 at the 18-yard line. Man goes in motion left to right. Snap is back to Henry. Henry rolls out to right, and he gets it to his receiver, who's got a first down, no flags, so a nice pickup there by DMA, and a nice throw and catch there. Did you catch the number, Marty? I
didn't. It's once they get so far away, yeah. That's right. Very difficult to pick up the numbers
Navy
there.
Blue uniforms with navy numbers, believe it or not, with a little gold trim around them, so we're doing our best. When we say they're better than last week's, we're not exaggerating. It was light blue
yes.
and light blue with a little gray mixed in. So either way, it's a first down for DMA on a nice throw and catch there. Deal is in the shotgun formation. They're moving right to left. They're on the far side of the field, so on the right hash mark. And they give us to Devin Green, and he's trying to get his way up the middle. Tough guy. He's got a quick burst of speed. He's not the tallest, 5'4", I think is what he listed at, and they're going to give him his forward progress up to the 34-yard line, going to bring up a 2nd and about 8.
He's one of those guys that you kind of think of, and I'm not comparing him by any means to Will Knight except for size-wise. He's one of those guys that can get lost in behind the offensive lineman, and you're hoping that it fools the defense enough that they don't see him for the initial point of contact and he at least gets through to the second stage. Hasn't been able to do that so far tonight.
2 wide receivers to the left. McCloskey, the tight end, is set up in the left slot. Devin Green is on the left hip of Joe Deal. And Deal, is going to roll out to his left, and he's going to be brought down in the backfield. A big tackle there by Tashawn Fitzgerald. Picks up his 3rd sack of the season.
Tashawn Fitzgerald did a really nice job there, but Deal, that's something they're going to have to work with him on. He never actually got himself into throwing position. He rolled out to his left, of course, his non-throwing side, but he never squared his body back around so that he was in position to throw. So by the time he even thought about starting to set up, Fitzgerald was all over him.
And so it's going to bring up a 3rd, and we're going to call it 16 from the 26-yard line. So again, moving the wrong direction. The last time they had the 3rd down after going backwards a couple plays, they were able to pick up the 1st down. Hodgson is wide out to the right, and it looks like Devin Green on the right hip, and McCloskey in the tight end formation again, and a quick out, and he's got his man. It's going to be short of the 1st down, back to the original line of scrimmage as the pass was completed to Luigi Aranzio, making what I believe is his 1st catch of the season. Gets back to the original line of scrimmage, and is going to bring on the punting team.
And Bobby Arnold and Irvin Phillips on the tackle there for Hodgson. Nice job by Hodgson. They weren't looking to really stop that play as much as they were keep it in front of them. It was, as you said, 3rd and 16. They end up giving up 7 yards, bring up a 4th and 9, another punting situation for DMA.
Cameron Thomas and Bobby Arnold are back on their own 35. Actually, Thomas is on his own 40, and the kick is away by Deal, and it's going in the hands of Cameron Thomas at his 38. He's going to go look for a block on the other side of the field and gets taken down. So he ran about 30 yards, but it was all east to west, and Hodgson's going to take over on their own 39-yard line is where they're going to mark it.
One of the cardinal sins of the punt returner, you never want to go east and west. You always want to get upfield. That time, as you said, John, when you go east and west like that on the punt return team, you already have these guys flying down the field. It doesn't take that much to angle off a little bit, make that tackle if you're DMA.
And so with 1:52 to play here in the 1st quarter, Hodgson has a 7-0 lead on Bobby Arnold's 45-yard touchdown run. We'll see if they can put something together here before time runs out in the 1st quarter. They're moving left to right. 1st and 10. Ball on the 39-yard line. 2 wide receivers out to the left, 1 out to the right in front of us. And Bobby Arnold is on the right hip of C.J. Henry. Henry's going to drop back. The blitz is on, and Henry's going to fall down, but that's only to avoid the blitz there. So it's not an official sack, but might as well have been. It's going to be a loss of about 8 yards back to the 31-yard line.
No, that was a fantastic job. And again, I know it's driving you and I both crazy that we really can't give credit where it's due here. It is so hard to see the DMA numbers. That time they had a blitzer come off the right edge, and when Kurt Henry ran the play fake and turned around, the defender was right in his face. Henry had no other recourse but to slide and take the loss.
The defensive coordinator for DMA has caught that Hodgson offense off guard several times, and so a nice job by them. It's going to bring up a 2nd down, and we're going to call it about 18 yards, it looks like. Henry gets it, and this time he's going to flip it to Bobby Arnold. He avoids 2 tackles, works his way around the side, and he's brought down. They're going to mark him out at the 37-yard line. Nice tackle there. I believe it was Chris Hodgson in on the tackle along with Noah Chilo. And so they're still 2 yards shy of the original line of scrimmage. Going to bring up a 3rd and 12.
DMA, another great job of stringing out a play here for Hodgson. Bobby Arnold, again, you can see where this kid has some special skills. I mean, he does a great job of avoiding the first contact. He's very tough to bring down with arm tackles. But, again, DMA has strung these plays out, allowed their linebackers to get over to the short side of the field, make that tackle.
25 seconds left to play. The clock is running here in the 1st quarter. 2 wide receivers out to the left, 1 to the right. Henry in the shotgun formation. He drops back, looks to throw, fires, has his man. That's Lewis at the 50-yard line, and he's going to take it to the house.
John,
but
they're
a
going to
flag
call this
is
back.
down. Flag is down.
This is unfortunate. It was Daniel Douglas, the senior, I believe, who kind of peeled back and made a block that was complete. It was 10 yards away from the play. It's one of those things they're going to see on the film and just kick themselves over and over. There was no need for it. I understand he's trying to help out his teammate, but there was no catching the receiver on that one. So, again, another unforced error by Hodgson.
And that, of course, is one of the things the referees are looking at this year. If you're not involved in the play and you come and you block like that, it is going to be a penalty, and that's exactly what the call was. So Hodgson has now had 3 touchdowns.
That's amazing.
Called back by penalty.
It's just been absolutely amazing. And then again, I keep factoring in those 2 passes that got beyond the DMA secondary. I mean, you're looking at a possibility of 5 touchdowns that Hodgson's just given away in this game. because they've been out of sync. And this is just something, if anybody out there has watched the first 4 games that Hodgson has played this year, this has just not been their MO at all. Frank Moffitt teams are always very well disciplined. They're usually very well in sync. You wonder a little bit, John, if maybe the fact knowing all week long that these kids for DMA, Karan Ali, and Boyd weren't going to be in the game, you wonder if that gets in your head a little bit. Everybody's saying, oh, you guys got a blowout win this week. It's been a really slow start for the Silver Eagles.
And so the referees are, I think they're discussing, there was 9 seconds on the clock, and now there's 5. The quarter has not ended. It's actually going to be a first down for Hodgson because of where the penalty took place, and they marched the 15 yards. It was beyond the sticks. And so they're still trying to figure out. There is going to be one more play. They've reset the clock to 9 seconds, and so there will be at least one more play here in the first quarter. Hodgson with a 7-0 lead. They've had 3 separate touchdowns called back, one on a long run, one on a long pass, and one on a punt return. And so C.J. Henry's hoping for better things here at quarterback, and he's going to hand the ball to Bobby Arnold, and Bobby Arnold's going to plow his way forward, still on his feet. He's going to pick up about 8 yards, and that is going to bring us to the end of the first quarter. Hodgson with a 7-0 lead over DMA here on Fox Sports 1290.
No matter where you are in life, at every stage, we are here for you. For all of life's big moments, and everything in between. After all, that's what families are for. We promise to make a positive difference in your financial life and go beyond the norm. Be a part of the Dover Federal family.
Local people, local decisions. Dover Federal Credit Union.
Unique Image opened for business in Wilmington, Delaware in 1979 with one focus, wowing our customers with great products and even greater customer service. 30 years later, we are still doing exactly that. Whether you're looking for marketing tools to promote your business, gifts for your employees or clients, or planning a special event, we're here with the voice of experience to help you every step of the way for your complete satisfaction. Visit our new showroom in the Mill Creek Shopping Center, 4577 Kirkwood Highway. Unique Image, you envision, we create.
And after 1 quarter of play, Hodgson, the number 3 team in Division I, has a 7-0 lead over the Delaware Military Academy Seahawks, the number 9 team in Division II, in a game that has been quirky from the very beginning. When Hodgson won the toss, deferred, and one of the captains for Delaware Military Academy elected to kick. And after a long discussion between the officials and the 2 coaches, that's exactly what they did. They kicked away. Hodgson has had 3 touchdowns called back for penalties on all good calls.
Yes.
No question about any of the calls. One was a run, one was a pass, and one was a punt return. And their one score was a 45-yarder by, it was a 45-yarder by Bobby Arnold. And so now they've whipped it out to the side. Thomas has it on the pass, escapes a couple tackles, and finally gets pushed out of bounds. And he's well into the red zone. Looks like it's going to be marked at the 17-yard line of DMA. And so, Marty, you wonder if Hodgson's now going to take the steps they've taken all night and have just been penalized.
That's what it kind of looks like. You know, I'm sure Frank Moffitt has kind of gotten in their ear and said, okay, take a deep breath. Everything's fine. We know what we're doing out here. That was one of the plays, the throw there to Cameron Thomas. We've seen them do 100 times on tape. A couple things we haven't seen them do tonight. They love to do that little jet sweep with the little flip pass to the sweeper. We haven't seen that. So a lot of things still in the tool bag tonight that Hodgson's going to deploy at some point.
We saw an inside flip, but it wasn't on the jet sweep. This is to Bobby Arnold up the middle over the right tackle, and he's scampering around, and he's going to just waltz into the end zone. A 17-yarder, 18-yarder for Bobby Thomas, his second of the night to put Hodgson up 13-0.
Darius Hale led this team with about 1,200 rushing yards last year. Bobby Arnold did not have a single carry. He has now become the featured back here. He's well over 400 yards through the first 4 games. And the moves he just put on, if you're watching it on 302, they were some Walter Payton-like moves. Bobby Arnold, again, only a sophomore is Bobby Arnold. So this team is so young. There's so much talent. This is a team, when they're playing at their peak, you could certainly envision being a challenger at the end of the season.
His 7th rushing touchdown on the season. Lopez in for the kick. It is up, and it is good. So with 11:42 to play here in the second quarter, Hodgson has scored for the second time, and both of them have counted. They have a 14-0 lead over DMA. We'll be right back here on Fox Sports 1290 and 302 Sports.
The Hadley Group is your local real estate resource. Brian Hadley joined Patterson Schwartz & Associates in 2005. In 2013, Nicole Flora joined Brian, followed by Emma Burnett and Grant Jepp in 2014. That's when the Hadley Group was formed. Patterson Schwartz Associates offer you exceptional knowledge of local market conditions and a commitment to represent you honestly and professionally. So for your next purchase or sale, think the Hadley Group. Visit our website at thehadleygroup.re.com.
Off by Hodgson after they take a 14-0 lead was returned by Luigi Oranzio, and so DMA is going to have the ball on their own 28-yard line and try to put something together. So far tonight, they've had 2 possessions and punted both times. They did pick up a first down on their second possession. So, Marty, this, I think, is a critical opportunity for DMA. You know, you don't want to say they have to score at this point, but I think they have to, for their own confidence, get the ball moving in the right direction.
I agree 100%. Even if it's a first down, something to give the defense a blow a little bit to create some momentum for the offensive side.
And so with 11:48 to play, Deal rolls out to the right, finds his man at the 33-yard line. We'll see when they unpile who it is. And it looks like it is Austin Edmonds, the one that you pointed out. Marty had to have a big game, came in with 4 receptions, picks up his first of the night.
You know, when I went back and watched the tape this week, he ran some really nice routes against St. Elizabeth's. He's not often used as the primary. As you said, only 4 catches coming in, but he's a kid that definitely has the ability.
It's going to be second and about 6 at the 33-yard line. Deal in the shotgun formation, throws and overthrows his man. There's a flag in on the play. We'll see what that's all about. The Hodgson defender putting his hands up in the air like, what did I do?
I think they might call it hit to the head.
Personal foul.
The defensive player for Hodgson left his feet, which the NFL would call launching, right into Deal's head. And I believe he hit him with both his forearms, but as you and I know, any contact above the neck and shoulder area is going to get that call every time. It's unfortunate, but it is for safety reasons, and it was 100% the right call on that play.
So Hodgson picks up their 5th penalty of the night, DMA, with just 2. And this one's going to be a big one. It's going to march the ball all the way to the 48-yard line. So it's a first down that DMA certainly needed, not necessarily the way they expected to have it. So it's going to bring up a 1st and 10 on the 48. Hodgson with a 14-0 lead. John Busby along with Marty Sheehan, Earl Holland in the studio. Of course, Devin Green is on the right hip, 1 wide receiver out to each side. And Deal is going to roll back again, looks for Hodgson. He's under pressure. Hodgson with a little hitch, and Hodgson is wide open. And he catches the ball at the 10, brought down. I think he stepped out at the 8, but no, they're going to say that he got all the way down to the 4-yard line. So a nice hitch there, and a nice job by Deal hanging on to the ball and able to get it away.
John, that was a great job. They took advantage of Makai Ross. It looked like Deal was going to be sacked in the backfield. He got away from an arm tackle. They grabbed his jersey. He was able to spin out of it. And as you said, Hodgson did a great job continuing on his route to make sure that Deal had someone to throw to. He did a great job hauling it in, making sure he stayed in bounds.
And so without Karan Aline, they're making no doubt here that they're going to pass the ball tonight. Oranzio and Hodgson are out to the left. They give it to Green, and he gets over the right tackle and gets pulled back from behind. That was Tashawn Fitzgerald who grabbed the hold of Green's jersey, and Fitzgerald was on the ground and just wouldn't let him go. So it's going to bring up a 2nd and goal.
I keep saying it's like a broken record, but Green is only 145 pounds. He's going to be subject to some of those tackles. You're absolutely right. He was on the ground, grabbed him, and yanked him down with him. this kind of feels like to me, John, they're going to have to do something, whether it's a little trickery or throwing the ball off of some play action to get a touchdown.
And a little confusion on the Hodgson defense, and they're going to take their first time out of the night. We're going to take it with them. So here at the second quarter, 10:09 to play. Hodgson with a 14-0 lead, but DMA knocking on the door. Yeah, now we can.
Yep, no more complaints so far. Thanks, Earl.
No matter where you are in life, at every stage, we are here for you, for all of life's big moments, and everything in between. After all, that's what families are for. We promise to make a positive difference in your financial life and go beyond the norm. Be a part of the Dover Federal family.
Local people, local decisions. Dover Federal Credit Union.
No matter where you are in
Hi, I'm Scott Kammerer from Solo Concepts. Solo Concepts is an award-winning restaurant group on the culinary coast with 10 locations. We're a chef-driven group. Come check us out. See you soon. Solo Concepts believes in the vision of our founder, Matt Haley. Cook beautiful, simple food, develop the people we work with, and make the world a better place. Solo Concepts on the culinary coast with 10 locations from Lowes, Delaware to Fenwick Island. Come check us out.
14-0 lead. It's second and goal, ball on the 4-yard line for DMA. Hodgson shows blitz, and either Hodgson jumped over the line or they caused DMA to go off sides or to illegal motion, and it's going to be an offsides penalty against Hodgson.
That's a good call, John, because Hodgson moved, but they did not cross the line, but the referees determined that they caused the immediate jump by the DMA player. So good pickup there by you. And like you said, it's not necessarily the way they drew it up, but they'll take all these Hodgson miscues.
Absolutely, and so they're going to mark it. It's going to officially be at the 2-yard line. Deal is in the backfield. Devin Green is back into his left. Hudson is out to the far side along with Aranzio, and a quick move on the slant falls incomplete. I think he was trying to get it to Aranzio. Is going to bring up a 3rd and goal.
That's what I thought they were going to have to do. They tried a little play action there. It looked like it was open, but Hodgson with really tight coverage there. Deal threw it low into the ground where only his receiver could get it. We're on a little bit of a weird angle here, and we were kind of blocked by the offensive line. But I like that play call from Mike Ryan.
2-down territory here, I would think, Marty.
I agree,
3rd and
100%.
2 when you're down 14-0. It is early in the second quarter, but you're missing your 2 offensive weapons in Karan Aline and Dior Boyd. So you need a touchdown here. And the give is going to be Green, and he's going to plow his way forward, and he gets met right at the line of scrimmage. Maybe picked up a yard to the 1, but either way, it's going to bring up a 4th and goal from the 1.
And this is a long one.
Yes.
This is, especially when you consider this Hodgson defensive line, it's going to be really interesting to see the play call here. I'm not sure they can do this just off tackle or a sweep around to the edge. This Hodgson defense is so fast in pursuit. It's going to be I'm curious to see what play call Mike Ryan dials up here.
One thing I guarantee you, they're going to need to take a timeout here because time is ticking, and that's exactly what happened. We're going to keep it right here as DMA is going to call a timeout. Big play for them, 4th and 1, and like you said, it's a long one, 9:28 to play, and they're down 14-0. Crown Trophy People's Plaza in Newark is your one-stop shop for trophies, plaques, medals, and so much more. Crown Trophy People's Plaza is a proud supporter of the Fox Sports 1290 Game of the Week, both for football and basketball, and they're the home of the Delaware State Championship Trophy and Mini Trophy. Visit Crown Trophy in People's Plaza, Newark, or online at crowntrophy.com. The International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers Local Union 313 and the National Electrical Contractors Association, NECA, energizing Delaware with their highly skilled electricians, partnered with Signature Contractors. Local 313 electricians will safely get your job done right, on time, and within budget. Visit IBEW313.org. And coming out of the huddle here, Marty, it's 4th and goal. This could be one of the biggest plays of the night, one way or the other.
I agree. I mean, Hodgson has had drives where they've eaten up the clock. They can kill you with one play at a time. So this is a huge deal for DMA to try to get into the end zone. I think they're going to have to do something a little unorthodox, maybe a little play action, maybe something that involves Edmonds.
Hodgson is out. McCloskey is in, lined up on the left hip of Deal. McCloskey, of course, a much broader player. Maybe he's going to be the lead blocker for Green, and that's exactly what's going to happen. But the Hodgson defense comes up huge and stops Green at the line of scrimmage. So a turnover on downs.
And that was number 55, looked like Brandon Shimko, the senior, the second leading tackler on this team, who just drilled right through that offensive line of DMA and brought Green down. And again, you don't want to argue with the play call, and they did have the big fullback in there, but Green is such a small kid that he's not going to be able to fight off that initial contact. Shimko, picture-perfect tackle of wrapping him up, bringing him down just shy of the end zone.
And so we're definitely seeing the disadvantage DMA is at without their all-state player, Karan Ali, in the lineup. There's no question about it. But still an impressive drive, aided by the penalty, but then also the big throw and catch to Hodgson. And so it was, we thought they needed that to get their confidence up. We'll see if their defense can step up and get the ball back for them. And going off sides on defense, that's going to be a flag. And that's unfortunate because they had Hodgson pinned back, and instead it's going to cost DMA 5 yards. And so it's going to be a first down and 5. More importantly, it's going to be away from the end zone.
And I'm really surprised that Hodgson is kind of going with a straight man, DMA with a straight man-to-man. They don't have any safeties deep in this formation. We've seen the speed from those Hodgson receivers. At any point in the game, a 95 TD from Hodgson and Kurt Henry would not surprise me. I'm curious to see if DMA is going to make some kind of adjustment. They're using some press coverage, so they're trying to throw the receivers off at the line of scrimmage, but they're not always making contact. That's a dangerous combination.
Big discussion here. They're actually going to call a personal foul, and that's because when
hitting the center,
defensive lineman hit the center and not only made contact with him, but threw him down.
And when the center's head is down, when he's looking back for the signal from the quarterback in the shotgun, you are not allowed to touch him, and that's exactly when the player bowled him over. So, yeah, that's even worse for DMA as it gets them out from the shadow of the end zone and sets them up at their 20-yard line.
And so a frustration.
15 or 16.
Frustration penalty there for DMA. You think you're knocking on the door and going to cut the lead in half, and all of a sudden your defense is back on the field. First and goal. Ball is marked on the 16-yard line. It looks like 3 wide receivers out to the left, 1 on the far side, moving right to left as we see it, and it's a quick out and under, and Lewis gets it at the 30-yard line and brought down there. It's a nice slant move. He had to actually turn his body. That's when I said he came back under to get it and made the grab and picked up another first down.
With the coverage DMA is playing again, the man-to-man coverage, so difficult when so many of the receivers streak down the field, and then you have the receiver like Thomas cut back into the middle. There's always going to be a cushion in there if you're running that man-to-man. So nice job by Hodgson and C.J. Henry and the offensive staff of recognizing that. And they'll take these little 10-yard increments all night long.
8:55 to play. Hodgson with a 14-0 lead and a first down on their own 30-yard line, moving right to left as we see it. The white jerseys, maroon pants, and the maroon helmets. Number 3 team in Division I. And another flag. This is going to be a delay of game. So, Marty, you called it. We're seeing penalties here that you usually see in the preseason, maybe week 1, but just several illegal motion penalties. This is the second delay game penalty. And so Hodgson has picked up its 7th penalty of the night here. And so that's going to be something, we always say, coaches, when you win games, and Hodgson has blown a lot of teams out, you're always looking for things that you got to work on, and obviously this is something they're going to have to work on.
Absolutely. I've watched all 4 of Hodgson's games, and they were only called once for delay a game that I can recall. Again, already called for it twice tonight. So you're right. This is those little things that Frank Moffitt will scribble down in a notebook and be worked on next week.
First and 15. Bobby Arnold's going to go out and line up on the right side. Nobody in the backfield except Henry. And Henry gets sacked and brought down. A great job there. Looks like it was number 14, Luigi Oranzio, with the blitz from his defensive back position and the takedown. And so it was not Oranzio. It was Nick Perrone. So it was 2-4 instead of 1-4.
And that was a great job by Nick Perrone, because if C.J. Henry had another split second, Bobby Arnold had left his defender about 15 yards down the field and was wide open at about midfield. So a great job, DMA, to finish Henry off, not let him escape the pocket.
And so now it is 2nd and 23 for Hodgson. So they're moving in the wrong direction. 2 wide receivers out to the right, 1 here to the left in front of us, and somebody in the slot. And Henry's going to roll out, looking to pass. He's being flushed way out of the pocket. Flag is down, and the ball is well underthrown. Henry was really just trying to throw that away, but something that we've seen more than anything else tonight is that yellow flag, and that's going to be it looked like he called a personal foul.
I
the
think
way,
he
but
just,
he just quick hold.
Yeah, I think exactly.
Hold.
I think that's what he was doing. It was just he was trying to get DMA coach's attention before he officially announced it to ask him what he wanted to do. But yeah, again, man, we are seeing all kinds of flags fly out here tonight. And so far, everything we've seen has been legitimate. That was too far away for us to get a good look at it. But interesting of DMA and Mike Ryan not to turn that down,
right.
They don't want to give Hodgson another down to get that. Instead, it'll be 3rd and 23 instead of 2nd and 43.
Right.
It would
yeah,
be at
exactly.
that point.
So good move by Mike Ryan there. C.J. Henry in the shotgun. Bobby Arnold to his right. 2 wide receivers to the right. 1 in the right slot and 1 here in front of us to the left. Bobby Arnold goes in motion again, and it's going to be a quick out. And it's going to be a double pass. Lewis finds his man, and he's got Thomas. And this is going to be a touchdown, a 70-plus yard touchdown on the double pass there. Caught the DMA defense completely off guard.
And you and I both looked back for flags to make sure there was none, and there wasn't. That's one of those plays that you always look for the yellow flag. A great job by Kurt Henry. A perfectly placed ball was thrown about 2 yards behind the line of scrimmage, and then a perfect ball to the wide receiver. You know, I talked a little bit earlier about there's still a lot in the toolbox left. That was not something I was expecting to see. That's a play I have not seen them run this season. So Frank Moffitt and his staff pulling something out of the old bag of tricks there to get the 3rd touchdown of the night for Hodgson.
We're going to call it unofficially 77 yards as Josue Avila Lopez comes in to try to extend the Hodgson lead to 21-0. A low snap, but they get it down, and it affected the kick because it is no good wide left. So with 7:33 to play here in the 2nd quarter, Hodgson with a little trickery has a 20-0 lead here on Fox Sports 1290 and 302 Sports. Was that at the 23-yard line?
Yes, I believe it was.
The Hadley Group is your local real estate resource. Brian Hadley joined Patterson Schwartz & Associates in 2005. In 2013, Nicole Flora joined Brian, followed by Emma Burnett and Grant Jepp in 2014. That's when the Hadley Group was formed. Patterson Schwartz Associates offer you exceptional knowledge of local market conditions and a commitment to represent you honestly and professionally. So for your next purchase or sale, think the Hadley Group. Visit our website at thehadleygroup.re.com.
Stadium, our first real trick play of the season here on Fox Sports 1290. A pass from C.J. Henry behind himself to Lewis, and then a long bomb to Thomas. 77 yards worth, a touchdown, and the Silver Eagles have a 20-0 lead. The kickoff to DMA is brought back to the 32-yard line, and that's where the Seahawks will start.
And during that timeout, you sort of saw some revitalization on the Hodgson sideline. Guys jumping up and down, the fans back into the game. By the way, Hodgson brought a nice complement of fans here tonight. They've just about filled the visiting bleachers across the way. So a nice following for the Silver Eagles. But you feel like that was something Frank Moffitt maybe felt like we're in a doldrum situation here. We need something to wake these guys up. They dial up that play. It was perfectly executed, as you said, like the old double play combination. We had Henry to Lewis to Thomas for 77 yards. Just extremely well done by Hodgson.
And it's going to be 1st and 10 on their own 32-yard line. DMA in the no-huddle offense. 2 wide receivers out to the right. McCloskey is lined up in the right slot, and it's Devin Green, the freshman, filling in for Karan Aline, who is out with an injury, in case you're just joining us. And Deal rolls out to his right and underthrows McCloskey, and it's going to bring up a 2nd and 10.
And that time, Deal really left McCloskey no ground. Joseph Deal, that is the quarterback, rolled out to the short side of the field, let that ball go about 5 yards from the sideline. By then, the Hodgson defense had converged on McCloskey, so really nothing doing there. You almost get the feeling Deal was throwing that away.
And so it's going to bring up a 2nd and 10 for DMA. Same formation, basically 2 wide receivers, 1 on each side. McCloskey in the right slot, lining up as a tight end, and Devin Green on the right hip of Deal. Deal falls back, and the rush is on, and he tries to escape, and he cannot, and brought down in the backfield on the sack. That's Tashawn Fitzgerald, his second sack of the night, fourth of the season, and that's a big defensive play for the Silver Eagles.
A huge defensive play, and Deal saw both of the defenders coming through on that one and just kind of hesitated. He took his eyes off downfield and looked back at the two defenders, and by the time he was able to readjust his vision, it was too late. They were on top of him. Fitzgerald ripped him down to the turf.
So a loss of 13 is going to bring the ball back to the 20-yard line and bring up a 3rd and 23. So certainly you would think a passing situation when you trail 20-0 at this point in the game. 6:38 to play in the second quarter. Two wide receivers out to the right, one to the left. They're moving left to right in the all navy blue uniform. Deal looks to his left, comes back to his right, looks like Hodgson with the ball. He goes up the middle, maybe gets back to the original line of scrimmage, but far short of the first down, and it's going to bring up a 4th and punting situation.
They tried to set up a screen to Hodgson there, and they actually did a pretty nice job with it, but it just took way too long to develop. And when you have a situation where it's 3rd and 23, and by the way, how many N20-plus situations have we had tonight for both teams?
Yeah.
It's got to be a record for us.
We at least got through that series without a penalty.
Yes.
That was the big thing here. So into punt, or I should say staying into punt, is Deal. And Thomas is back along with Arnold, and the ball is going to be picked up by Thomas at the 38-yard line. He's looking for a block. It's a big block from Arnold, and now he's coming all the way back to us. He's gone a lot farther east to west, and he finally gets across midfield to the 40 and brought down from behind. A nice tackle there by Nicholas Peroni, but a nice run back there by the sophomore, Cameron Thomas. And I've said sophomore a lot. I've said junior a lot. Haven't said a lot of seniors. This Hodgson team is built for the future.
They really are. Daniel Douglas, the lone senior that again, so many of them got some quality playing time last year, especially the receivers and quarterback Kurt Henry, who ended up playing in all 12 games last season and has just been phenomenal this year. You can see the rapport that these receivers and Henry have with each other.
So an almost 30-yard punt return for Cameron Thomas sets up Hodgson on the DMA 34-yard line. And the give is to Lally on the jet sweep, and Lally goes around the right side, trying to get all the way around the edge. Still on his feet, and waiting for the official signal. He got over the pylon. Wow. It is a touchdown, a 34-yard touchdown run on the jet sweep for Lally.
John, that's exactly the play I was talking about earlier, that little flip, almost like a hot potato where the quarterback takes the pistol snap and then just kind of pats the ball forward a little bit. It goes in the book as a pass. It's low risk because if there's a mishandle by either of them, it does not count as a fumble. So a really great job of execution. Again, that's a play they've run. I'd say if they've run it once, they've run it 15 times this year, and every time has been with success, although not to the extent that was. Lally did a fantastic job navigating traffic down the far sideline to get into the end zone.
So if they're not scoring on their first possession, all of a sudden Hodgson has scored on 4 possessions in a row, and DMA has not in between. The lead is now 26-0, 5:24 to play here in the second quarter. And it looks like they're going to try to get revenge on that missed extra point and go for 2.
Whenever they miss an extra point, they always go for 2 on the next score.
And so Henry is lined up in the backfield by himself. He's got 2 wide receivers on each side. He's definitely going to look to pass, and it's a slant move, and it's a great catch there by Daniel Douglas, who makes the catch for the 2-point conversion. And with 5:24 to play now, they've got it back to all 7 points for every score. It is 28-0.
It's just, again, they're executing everything perfectly now, where before they were in fits and starts, they had penalties, they had overthrown balls, they had Henry was under pressure. All of a sudden, they've kind of oiled the machine here, and they've got everything clicking. The receivers are running precise routes. That was a perfectly run route in the end zone by Douglas right there. Again, the blocking, one of the things I've noticed from Frank Moffitt teams is that the receivers do a phenomenal job of blocking out on the edge. And on that touchdown run by Lally, that doesn't happen if you're not getting blocking out there from the tight end and from the 2 wideouts that were on that side of the field. So all in all, it really feels like Hodgson has really got the motor revving now.
Lally with his 4th receiving touchdown of the season. And so just a nice job. And, you know, we've called a lot of names tonight and you look at the stats, a lot of guys score on this team, and so it really is a well-rounded team here that Frank Moffitt has. And again, remember, this is a team that C.J. Henry, as a freshman, led to the semifinals of the state tournament. The kick is away, and I believe that's going to go to Hodgson, and I think he landed on his knee.
He did.
Yeah. Oh, and that's going to be a late hit, and the late hit, it was unfortunate. It was Joshua Ames, and I think he realized it as soon as he made the hit that the whistle had blown. And so that's going to be a personal foul penalty on Ames, but I think that's one that, Frank Moffitt's going to, pat him on the rear end and say, you know what you did. Let's not do it again. It wasn't violent. It just looked violent because of the impact that was there.
Exactly. And to, build on your point about C.J. Henry running this team to the semifinals last year, I mean, they played on the final day of the regular season at Middletown for the Flight A title. In a game they only lost 21-7, and they really gave Middletown a tough time, especially on the defensive side of the ball. So this is a team that, again, the youth has been exposed to some really high-pressure situations, and you can see it paying off this season.
It reminds me of those Middletown teams when Chris Godwin, who's obviously with the Buccaneers now, and Darius Godwin, who's on the University of Delaware football team after a career at Boston College, when they were freshmen. And you watch them get better year after year after year. And this team looks to be loaded just like that. It's a fake to Devin Green, and it's a quick out, and it's to McCloskey at the 35, to the 40, and brought down at the 43-yard line. Pulled backwards there by Brandon Shimko. In on the tackle, came into the game with 19 tackles, so his 20th of the season, a first down for DMA.
And DMA wanted a horse collar tackle there, but it was actually grabbed between the numbers of the jersey, which is why the officials didn't call that. But again, another really well-executed sort of screen set up there to the short side by DMA, and Deal has done a really nice job at managing those.
One wide receiver on each side. They're moving left to right. Not much time. Actually, there is 5:14 left here in the second quarter. A 28-0 lead for Hodgson, and it's another quick slant. This time it's incomplete. Overthrew Luigi Aranzio, going to bring up a 2nd and 10 from the 44.
And as you mentioned earlier, Luigi Aranzio, one of those kids we just haven't heard a lot from this season. One of the guys that's getting an extended chance to play because of all the injuries to the offensive stars on this team. And, this is one of those good news, bad news situations. If these injuries were going to happen, it could have happened at a worse week. This is a game not many people thought DMA was going to win anyway. A lot of guys getting some good experience, John.
As Mike Ryan told me, it's a marathon, not a sprint
in
high school football, especially when you're only in week 5. Aranzio is lined out to the left. James Hahn, another name you wouldn't hear much normally. And he gives it to Devin Green up the middle. He's got that quick first step, just like Aline. And he's going to pick up about 3 yards. They're going to mark it at the 48-yard line.
And you get the feeling now for DMA, they might be in a position where they're just trying to run some basic offense, get something going. Again, we talked about this last week as well with St. Elizabeth's DMA. At one point, DMA was struggling so much. You get the feeling they just want to create some positive momentum, pick up a first down here and there. Not going to score 28 points all at once, certainly. So it's just about establishing some momentum, getting some of the young guys involved.
Hudson and Aranzio lined up to the right. Devin Green's being moved from right to left. He's going to end up over in the left slot position. And the snap is back, and Deal looks, and he's got Aranzio, and Aranzio is whipped down by Michael Sanchez. And it's going to be about a yard shy of the first down. They're going to mark it at the 47-yard line. And the referee has called for a timeout.
Are they going to measure this? Because it certainly doesn't look that close to me. This is one of those cases, too. Aranzio, again, a kid who doesn't play a lot, and they're going to take the opportunity to measure this, although I think it's at least a yard apart.
Yeah, at least.
Aranzio pulled up a little short on that route, John. That's something that'll come with experience. A guy like Dior Boyd, a guy like Karan Aline, you have to know where those sticks are, because there was room for him to get a little bit further and for Deal to make that pass. So something, again, the young guy learned.
So they're going to take the time to measure it, which we think is going to be at least a half a yard, if not more, short. When they do, I'm going to talk about Domino's Hot Spots. Get pizza delivered to outdoor locations like parks, beaches, and more. Not at home, not a problem. Visit Domino's.com for details on Domino's Hot Spots. And Marty, I can already tell that this is going to be short, as we thought, by about half a yard short. So it's going to bring up a 4th down for DMA. And when they get it all marked off here, it's going to be on the Hodgson 42-yard line is where they're going to end up putting it. 4:10 to play. Hodgson with a 28-0 lead Don't forget to stay tuned at halftime. Earl Holland will have a sports report for you back in the studio, and then we'll be back to talk about the first half. A game that started off with all kinds of strange circumstances, starting with Hodgson winning the toss, deferring, DMA accidentally electing to kick off, and after a 5-minute discussion, it stayed just like that. Hodgson had 3 touchdowns returned, 1 a pass, 1 a run, and 1 a punt return, called back, I should say, because of penalties, and now they seem to have settled into their game and extended a lead 28-0 here with 4:10 to play. 4th and 1 on the Hodgson 47-yard line. Henry gets it, gives it to Devin Green. Devin Green makes a nice move, gets around the corner, and is brought down, but not until he picks up the first down. Damar Wallace with the tackle, a flag. I think that's going to be either like a face mask or unsportsmanlike conduct of some sort.
Yeah, it looked like in the area of a face mask on Hodgson, but as you said, a great job by Devin Green. A little hop step there to make sure he got the first down. So a really nice job. Keep the drive going. And you know, we always talk about no one wants to be in a running clock situation. DMA wants to get into that halftime without having this get to a situation where they're coming out to a running clock in the third quarter.
Hodgson's 9th penalty on the night. That's unofficial. They also had the one that Mike Ryan declined.
Yes.
And so a penalty-filled night for the Silver Eagles, something that Coach Frank Moffitt will have to get cleaned up here as they get into the meat of the second half of their schedule. Ball on the 28-yard line, 3:52 to play. DMA with the first down, trailing 28-0. Devin Green is on the left hip of Deal. Deal's back looking to pass, turn, finds his man, and that's going to be a pass interference penalty. A good call by the official there. That's on Bobby Arnold as they were trying to get the pass to Austin Edmonds, and so that's going to cost them some more yardage as they've picked up now their 10th penalty of the night, and we're still in the first half.
And again, Bobby Arnold, he's been really proficient on the offensive side. He's a kid who's still learning on defense. He did play a good bit of snaps last year as a freshman, but that time clearly early on the hit on Edmonds, forcing the penalty again, which is now the 10th penalty, as you pointed out, on Hodgson, which is just incredible for the first half for a Frank Moffitt coach team. That's something that won't only be addressed this week, but it'll be addressed at halftime as well.
Yeah, I was going to say, Frank will spend the majority of his halftime speech talking about cleaning up the penalties. They've had them of all varieties. They've had face masks, they've had interference, they've had illegal motion, they've had 2 delay of games, and so it's been a mix of penalties, not any one thing necessarily. And so that is going to move the ball to the 14-yard line, and it's going to be 1st and 10 for DMA, moving left to right. 3:40 to play here in the first half, and as you pointed out, Marty, they'd love to get 7 points on the board here to put them another score away from a running clock. Devin Green's going to try to get around the left side, gets tripped up, and eventually he gets knocked down. Credit for the tackle is going to go to Eric Shimko, even though it is much Devin Green slipping on the surface as anything.
And that time, again, we're starting to see Devin Green with a little bit of ability to make guys miss. That time it didn't matter as the offensive line had been overwhelmed on the left side. Hodgson their linebackers got through that line of scrimmage level and was able to stop Green for a 2-yard loss. You get the feeling this just isn't something that's going to happen on the ground. They're going to have to mix it up, whether, again, some play action. I think they're going to have to get some of these guys involved on the edge.
Orangio is out on the left. Hudson is on the right. Deal's looking exactly for that, and he fires, and he's got Hudson and knocked away by Bobby Arnold. Hudson had it, and Arnold came across and knocked it out with his left arm. A nice defensive play by the sophomore two-way player.
That's a great awareness by Bobby Arnold to throw that arm in there. You're right. A lot of times they'll go for the tackle or they'll try to go for the interception. That time he just tried to bat the ball down. You always hear coaches saying, knock it down. He did it right there, and it stopped a big play for DMA.
So it's going to bring up a 3rd, and we're going to call it 12. Ball still at the 17-yard line. Devin Green is in the backfield, I should say. 2 wide receivers to the right. McCloskey lined up in the slot. Deal winds, it rolls out, and then coming from behind with the sack is Deshaun Fitzgerald, and I don't think Deal saw him or he would have gotten rid of the ball because he basically, if they were going to be in field goal range, they no longer are. Not that they would have kicked the field goal, but it's going to bring up a 4th and forever. Ball's on the 28-yard line.
How impressive has Deshaun Fitzgerald been tonight? He's been all over the field. He's been in coverage. He's got at least a couple sacks that I know of now. He's been in the backfield all night long going after Devin Green, so a really nice job of Fitzgerald. Again, this is a program that prides itself on defense. Last year, 2017 Lineman of the Year, Jalik Hayward.
Aranzio and Hodgson are lining out to the left. Fourth down. They're going to go for it. Ball's on the 27-yard line. And Neal drops back, and he's firing for the corner. And he was trying to get the ball to Austin Edmonds. Ball's incomplete. In on the coverage again was Bobby Arnold. So a couple nice plays for Bobby Arnold, and it's going to be a turnover on down.
That was a great job by Bobby Arnold. He kept the inside track the whole way. He refused to let the receiver get inside of him. Deal threw it up over the top, but it was so close to the sideline. It was just an uncatchable ball. So great, really a really good series defensively for Bobby Arnold.
And so the ball is going to be on the 28-yard line is where they ended up spotted that last one. And a turnover, and it's going to be Hodgson's ball moving right to left. They've got 2:03 to play here, and this is where, even though you got a 28-0 lead, Marty, you'd love to get that running clock for the second half. But it's also an opportunity to work on your 2-minute offense. Remember,
absolutely.
This is a Hodgson team that has dominated its first 4 opponents, and so far they've got a good lead here tonight, but it's a chance for them to work on their 2-minute game here, the 2-minute drill. And Henry drops back, and he gets flushed out of the pocket, and he's going to be sacked. There is a flag down, probably in the area of a hold, I would think.
And, you know, again, credit to the DMA front 4. They've done a nice job tonight getting pressure. They haven't done it all the time, but they've gotten enough on C.J. Henry to disrupt what Hodgson usually likes to do. Again, they flood the perimeter, or they flood the pattern with 4 receivers, and it relies on timing. So C.J. Henry needs some time to throw the ball. Hodgson, or DMA, has disrupted that tonight.
11th penalty on the night for Hodgson. It might be their first hold, though.
Yeah.
If not, it's their second.
Right.
But they've had illegal motions. They've had defensive offsides. They've had
you're right. It's been a long
pass
list
interferences.
Yeah, they're hitting all the boxes here.
They had the illegal block, the comeback block. And so 11 penalties on the night here, and yet it still have a 28-0 lead. 3 touchdowns called back, 3 in a row, basically, it felt like.
Yes.
Called back. 2 were called back before we had a first official play from scrimmage. And so it is 1st and 20. They've marked the ball on the 16-yard line. C.J. Henry is back, and he's going deep and has his man, and in and out of the hands of Austin Edmonds. Would have been a great catch. He got turned around, but he was wide open. Would have been 6.
It was, and that's Elijah Lewis on that.
I'm sorry.
That's
sorry.
All right.
Yep, you're right.
You know what? He did the exact same thing earlier in the game, C.J. Henry. He threw it over the wrong shoulder. He made Arnold turn his head. He needs to throw that. He threw it toward the far side of the field. He needed to throw that more toward the middle and just let Elijah Lewis run underneath that. Instead, he had to turn his head all the way around at the last second. That's a really, really difficult play to make.
Good catch by you. My mistake on the name call there is going to bring up a 2nd down at the 16-yard line. Henry is back again, fires over the middle. This time he has Lally, and Lally gets taken down from behind, short of the first down. And so a nice tackle there by the defender for DMA. Did you catch the number, Marty? I can't see it.
I did not catch the number again. It's been a difficult night trying to get the number on these guys. Nice job again by DMA keeping that play in front of them. Hodgson and Frank Moffitt going to take the timeout with 1:15 to go here.
And we're going to keep it right here with 1:15 to play. Hodgson with a 28-0 lead. And Hodgson, when they come out of the timeout, will have a 3rd. And it looks like about 15. They still have 1 timeout left. After that, Special Olympics Delaware is always looking for qualified coaches or former players wanting to coach. The next seasons are bowling and basketball. It takes just 2 hours a week for 8 weeks to make a difference. For more information, visit SODE.org. And don't forget, at halftime, Earl Holland will have a sports report. He'll get you up to date on the scores around the state of Delaware. And then we'll be back to talk about the first half. But still 1:15 to play here. Hodgson with a 28-0 lead. They're the number 3 team in Division I. DMA came into the game ranked number 9 in the News Journal, Brad Meyer's top 10 that we use each week on the broadcast.
And this would be tough to drop DMA at all based on anything that happens this week. They're so depleted roster-wise. Again, they're playing what we think is the 3rd best team in Division I, possibly more to come later in the season as far as moving that ranking up.
And so it's going to bring a 3rd down and 15. Henry has Arnold to his right. He's going to drop back, gets flushed out of the pocket, giving signals to his wide receiver, fires it out to the side, trying to hit Douglas. Ball goes out of bounds. In on the coverage for DMA was Thomas Whitaker, the sophomore defensive back, going to bring up a 4th and long. This will be interesting to see if they punt it away. Looks like the punting team's coming on.
And I think this is a great stop by DMA. Again, you avoid the running clock if you can keep from making a big mistake in this last 1:08 of the half. But that's a nice job defensively. Again, they were helped a little bit by some Hodgson miscues as far as the penalty flags go, but a really nice job by DMA to contain that offense, not give up another big one for the half.
Andrew Hodgson is standing on his own 45-yard line as Josue Avila Lopez is back on his own 10. Perfect snap back. The kick is away, winding out of bounds, and it's caught by one of the players on the sideline for Hodgson. We'll see where they end up marking it. Either way, DMA is going to start in Hodgson territory. So I think Lopez would tell you that was sort of a shank off the side of his foot as they're going to mark it on the 39.
It looks like, yeah, this kind of changes things if you're Coach Ryan for DMA now. With 1:02 to go, you're at the 39-yard line. You're going to go all out trying to score here. I mean, this was a situation if Avila Lopez has gotten off a good one, even to the plus side of the field for Hodgson, you'd say, they might just run out the clock. But here, I would approach this differently. I'd see what I could get.
Aranzio is lining up on the left. Looks like Hodgson is over there. Austin Edmonds is going to line up on the right side, actually in a tight end position here. So it'll be interesting to see. McCloskey is on the left tight end position. They're moving left to right, and they're going to give it to Devin Green up the middle. And Devin showing that burst of speed there. That might be his best run of the night, all the way up to the 33-yard line. DMA has 2 timeouts left unofficially, but it looks like they're not going to choose to take it and instead go ahead with a hurry-up offense.
And, John, Devin Green, you're absolutely right. That was his most impressive run of the night. He got really low to the ground, got lost among the big trees there, picked up 6 yards.
Hudson and Aranzio lined up on the right, and it looks like Deal is going to try to roll out and throw it, and he does. Has his man, and he makes the catch at the 2-yard line. That's Aranzio, so it's going to be first and goal at the 2. Trying on defense there was Michael Sanchez. He got turned around, and just a great throw and a catch from Deal to Aranzio.
Michael Sanchez made the exact mistake that we had credited Arnold for not making earlier, which he went for the ball. He tried to go for the interception instead of just knocking it down, and you're right, he got turned around on the coverage. A great job by DMA.
First and goal on the 2. They give it to Devin Green, and he gets taken down from behind, gets up and tries to get into the end zone. They're going to mark it down at about the half-yard line. So he avoided the first tackle.
And the clock is running.
Clock is running, and they're going to take a timeout. But nice heads-up play by Deal there, realizing they weren't going to give him the touchdown, and took the final timeout, actually the second timeout, unofficially is what I have, for DMA. So when they come out of it, it'll be second and goal to go. And that ball can't be any closer to the goal line, Marty,
no,
than it is without being in. So a turn of events here.
What a huge boost. If you're Coach Ryan and DMA, if you could get into that locker room down 28-7, it's still a long hill to climb. But, boy, these young kids coming out deal with a nice job at the throw down the field. And, again, Hodgson is at full strength. They're
right.
playing this game all out. DMA is severely depleted. And, all things considered, they've done far better than they had really any right to in this first half.
Yeah, and we talked about at the beginning, they had 3 touchdowns called back. Hodgson did. But they overcame that, and now DMA has overcome the fact that they've jumped out to a 28-0 lead. They're still scrapping in there. And if you're the head coach, Mike Ryan, that's all you can ask for
Absolutely.
At this point, that you're still throwing and running and blocking and doing the best that you can. And you never know what's going to happen in the second half. Remember, this is a Hodgson team that has 11 penalties.
Yes.
And so if DMA can punch this one in, they're only 3 scores down, a lot of time left in the second half. We'll see if they can. It's second down. The ball, as we said, is inside the 1-yard line. It's on the right hash mark. They're moving left to right, as we can see it. Devin Green, the freshman, who has stepped in for Karan Aline, the senior first-team All-State player. And it's a fake, and Deal rolls out. Has his man a diving catch. I think that was McCloskey who makes the catch. It is McCloskey with a diving catch. And so a nice drawn-up play there by the offensive coordinator, or Mike Ryan, whoever calls the plays. And a 1-yard touchdown pass from Deal to McCloskey.
A great play-action pass there from Deal. He faked the handoff to Green, and then McCloskey just ran a real quick down and out. Perfectly placed ball. He goes down to his knees to catch it, does McCloskey. And just like that, after the poor punt by Hodgson, DMA grits it up and comes back with the score right before the half.
And so Hodgson will be on the hold, and on the kick will be Mike Ruggieri for the extra point to try to put the 7th point on the board for DMA. Just 8 seconds left to play here when McCloskey made the diving catch on the right side of the end zone. The snap is back, the hold is down, the kick is up, and it is good. So with 8 seconds left to play here in the first half, DMA is on the scoreboard, still trails 28-7. We're going to keep it right here and remind you that tonight's broadcast is presented by the United States Air Force, The U.S. Air Force wants you to know there's a new recruiter in your area, Technical Sergeant Andrew Bugg. His office is located on the riverfront in Wilmington. Stop by and find out about the exciting opportunities waiting for you in today's Air Force. So, Marty, 28-7. Obviously, Hodgson, still has a commanding lead. They've got a lot of people who can run this ball back. I think if I'm Mike Ryan, I'm kicking the ball out of bounds and hoping my defense can hold up one more play.
I agree. I mean, you're going to skid this thing as close to the sideline as you can get it. There's way too many speedsters on this team, and you see they basically got 6 guys deep, Hodgson does, for this. They've got 3 in the midfield and 3 back deep. They're going to try to do something with this, and again, with all the speed to burn, I don't blame them, including, by the way, Elijah Lewis, who's at on the hands part of the team here at around the 50-yard line.
Yeah, it's almost like you can't even squib it, because if you squib it, somebody who can still run is going to
Yes.
pick it up. John Broomall is back, along with Bobby Arnold and Cameron Thomas. So those are the 3 guys lined up. If they kick it away, that's where it'll go. Mike Ruggieri is in to kick off for DMA from his own 40-yard line. He's kicking left to right. 8 seconds left to play, and he's going to kind of squib it over there. It's going to the right left sideline where John Broomall was standing, and just as I said I would have done, kicked it out of bounds. The flag comes down, but you avoid giving up, at least for now, a last-second touchdown in the second half.
You do, and you're going to
make
see
them kick it
guys.
again.
Oh, they are going to
Yeah.
make them kick it again. You know what? We don't usually see that. That's a nice strategy by Frank Momke,
Yeah.
saying, hey, I got my full 8 seconds. I want to see what these guys can do. I like that. Again, you've got so much speed here, young guys, all of whom have handled the ball. As you've said, they do such a great job of spreading the ball on this team that all of these guys have had experience toting the rock. So I love the strategy.
And you can look at the size and the numbers of the guys that are on the field, and you're all hands
Yes,
and you're all
they're all
speed
skill
team.
position.
They're all
Yep,
skilled
that's
position.
right.
There's one guy on there that I would call a lineman. And it's going to be kicked around there, picked up at the 30, and dropped. And so it's going to end up being brought down there by John Broomall. He was the one that ended up with it in his hands. They're going to mark it at the 25-yard line. Still 3 seconds left to play, so we'll see if C.J. Henry takes a knee or throws it as far as he possibly can here.
And I've seen them use a lateral play late in a half of one of their games early this season. So they certainly have some things at their disposal. And again, with guys, 4 wide receivers who are all pretty adept at catching the ball and running with it. Be curious to see if they do. Most likely, they're probably not going to do much. But if you're DMA, you've certainly got to be awake for these last 3 seconds.
And we've already saw the one trick play where they threw the double pass and got the deep touchdown for that. So it kind of looks, well, no, it's hard to tell. They got 2 wide receivers out to the left. Neither wide receiver looks like they're getting ready to sprint to the end zone.
He is under center, which we haven't seen.
Oh,
for the
yeah,
first
okay.
time,
You saw that. I didn't see. So he's shorter, so I didn't see that. So C.J. Henry does take a knee. The final 3 seconds tick off, and we're going to head into the half here. It's the Hodgson Silver Eagles 28, Delaware Military Academy 7. Don't forget, after the commercial break, we're going to send it back to the Fox Sports 1290 studio. At halftime report on the Fox Sports 1290 end of the broadcast. We're also providing the audio for 302 Sports as we do each week. So it's homecoming here at Baynard Stadium. Delaware Military Academy is on the wrong end of a 28 score at the half, but they are enjoying the halftime festivities. One of the best news I thought for them is Dior Boyd walked across the field as one of the homecoming couples and wasn't on crutches.
No, he
wasn't. So that might be good news for them in the long run here. Of course, he is out along with Karan Aline, both injured in the game last week for St. Elizabeth. This game started out funky from the get-go. Hodgson won the coin toss, deferred. DMA elected to kick accidentally after discussion with the officials. And as somebody pointed out to us, all the captains for DMA are injured. And so we're not out for the coin toss. And so after a discussion about whether that would be allowed to be turned around or not, it was decided that it would not be. And so DMA not only kicked off for the game, they're going to have to kick off here to start the second half. Now, it didn't hurt them. They ended up forcing Hodgson into a punt, but that was after Hodgson ran back a kickoff. Then they ran back a run or a pass, and basically, I forget the exact order, but it was 3 touchdowns called back for penalties before Hodgson finally got on the board on a 45-yard run by Bobby Arnold, which capped a 5-play, 63-yard drive on the second possession for Hodgson. DMA punted, and then Bobby Arnold found the end zone again, this time from 18 yards out once again to cap a 5-play, aided by a penalty during that one as well. DMA turned it over on downs, and then the biggest trick play we've seen of the season, it was a double pass started by quarterback C.J. Henry, who whipped it out to Elijah Lewis behind the line of scrimmage, and then he chucked it to Cameron Thomas for an 83-yard, what we believe is an 83-yard. It's not official. We've seen a couple different numbers on text messages, and so we're going to call it an 83-yard touchdown. The extra point was no good thanks to a bad snap, and so Hodgson had a 20-0 lead, and then they extended that to 28-0, including getting the 2-point conversion to even it up, and that was on a jet sweep from 34 yards out by Naishi Lally, I should say, for Hodgson. And then just like it looked like all was lost for DMA, they ended up putting together a 4-play drive at the end of the first half, and Joey Deal found McCloskey in the right side of the end zone for a 1-yard score to make it 28-7. Marty, is this about what you thought it might be? In the end, it didn't start out that way, but
it didn't. But yeah, I kind of thought this was going to be a dominating performance by Hodgson, and boy, they really have a struggle getting out of the gate. I mean, it was, in addition to the miscues you mentioned in the beginning, they had 2 wide open receivers for touchdowns that were just overthrown by C.J. Henry. So the entire first quarter felt like it was we were at a play here where it gets off to a dramatic start. It looks like you may have something going here. Hodgson making all kinds of mistakes, DMA hanging around. Then all of a sudden, Hodgson starts to put it together, and you get a feeling that Frank Moffitt and company said, look, guys, take a deep breath, okay? These guys are not fully loaded right now, but we're not playing up to our potential. We need to clean up some of this mess. They did start to clean it up execution-wise. They started running the ball a little more crisper. They started running better routes out in the pattern. The penalties have still just, you hate to say killed them when they're down, when they're winning 28-7, but it's certainly been an impediment to them getting to a point where it would be a running clock situation for them. So, I always talk about these are the games that a coach loves, where you're winning by a lot, but there is a ton that you have to work on in the film room and on the practice field next week, and it feels like that's where Frank Moffitt and company are right now.
Yeah, that is what they'll be working on. They actually host William Penn in a conference game next week, and William Penn's going to be at a situation where they're going to have to win.
Yes.
They're not going to be able to afford to lose, and that's going to be a Saturday morning game, which, of course, Frank Moffitt and the Hodgson Eagles love there. Speaking about other teams and other games, Marty, you got some out-of-town scores for us?
We do. This one was kind of surprising. Dover 48, St. George's 8 early in the third quarter. I really thought St. George's was going to show something here, as you pointed off the air. This sort of makes both of us believe maybe Dover is a little bit more for real than we thought they were originally. In the second quarter, headed to halftime, Episcopal with a 13-7 lead over the Sows. It was 13-0. The Sows got an Andrew Watkins TD run to get within close range there. Smyrna and CR, a little bit closer maybe than a lot of people thought. CR only down 22-6 at the half. One of those for Smyrna was a defensive touchdown. St. Elizabeth, the Vikings, one of those games where a trap game. They go down to Glasgow after beating DMA last week. not turning out that way. St. E 38, Glasgow 6 at the half. And the last one, this one, we talked about Seaford always comes out ready to play, and they're doing their best. Woodbridge is all over them tonight. It's 43-0 at the start of the third quarter. So some games a little bit surprising. Again, that Dover game over St. George's, I really thought we were going to see more from St. George's by this point of the season, but I believe Javon Peace now is up to 4 touchdowns for Dover in that game. You had Jordan McGee, who came back from an injury a few weeks ago. They seem like another team that might be firing on all cylinders now.
Yeah, that Cape Henlopen Conference is, everybody's got Smyrna at the top, and rightfully so, but then you've got Sussex Central, you've got Dover, and you can't count out Cesar Rodney yet, even though they've got 2 losses. You can't count them out yet, and so it's going to be a mad dash. A lot of people think that obviously probably at least 2 teams are going to go into the tournament out of that.
Yes.
Maybe a third, depending on what happens up here.
And to your point, you mentioned Sussex Central. I did leave them out. Sussex Central leads Sussex Tech 18-0. That game is late in the second quarter.
And so in case you're just joining us, DMA is going to kick off just like they did at the beginning. Hodgson deferred the coin toss after they won it, and DMA made a mistake and elected to kick. And after some discussion, it was decided that that's what they chose, and that's what they were going to keep. So Mike Ruggieri is in, and he's kicking from right to left. A trio of backs are back for Hodgson, including Bobby Arnold, who's hoping to have it in his hands. He is lined up in the middle. Instead, they're going to kind of squib kick it, and it's going to be picked up there by Cameron Thomas. Cameron Thomas is moving east to west. He's trying to get a block from Arnold, and he's going to end up getting knocked out of bounds on a nice hit over there. And it's going to be at the 38-yard line where Hodgson will take over. And thanks to that late DMA touchdown, if Hodgson were to march in and score, it is still not a running clock.
That's right. That touchdown couldn't have been more huge for DMA, both from a confidence standpoint and from just keeping them in the ball game. One thing on that return from Cameron Thomas, it's interesting. What we've seen tonight from him is he loves to run east to west. I don't know whether he likes to look for seams and gaps as he goes along, but he kind of ignores the blocking that was set up on that one, took it back himself, and he actually ended up with a nice return. But again, John, they start the second half the way they ended the first half, which is just penalty-ridden.
Yeah, it was a penalty, and so the speech, it was an illegal block in the back, so the 12th penalty of the night for Hodgson. I'm sure Frank Moffitt talked extensively about that at the half, so certainly not how he wanted his team to come out of the locker room. But it's going to be 1st and 10. We're going to call it on the 21-yard line for Hodgson, moving left to right. They've got the white jerseys, the maroon pants, and the maroon helmet lined up more on the left than the right. And they give us to Bobby Arnold. He evades one tackle, dodges another, stays on his feet, and gets brought down from behind, but not until he gets up to the 46-yard line. Hodgson was in on the tackle, as well as Austin Edmonds. So a nice run there by Bobby Arnold.
He just looks like he's going to be something special. He got great blocking there out on the edge by Ali Schwartz, the senior offensive lineman. But Bobby Arnold doing a great job. He gets through. He's one of those runners kind of like Niger Smith we talked about. He breaks all those arm tackles. That time he was just about to go to the ground. He regained his balance, got another 10 yards before being tackled.
And so it's going to bring up a 1st down on the 46-yard line. Ball now on the right hash mark. No wind tonight, and actually a comfortable fall evening. Temperatures in the low 60s. A decent crowd here. Henry with a quick out has his man. That's Thomas, who has 1 touchdown tonight already. Dodges a couple defenders and is going to be driven out, but not until he gets up to the 35-yard line. That Thomas, he is one heck of a player.
He really is. I mean, that time, just a quick little down and in pass that he takes. He cuts back to the outside and does just such a quick first step to get past that initial defender. Again, there he goes with the east and west. He loves to go lateral. I'm guessing it's because he's got that quick cut. He's able to cut inside of the defender. Big play for Hodgson on 1st down.
They said he stepped out at the 38, and so that's where they mark it 1st down. Give us to Bobby Arnold. He scampers to the left side, and he's going to get down almost to the 30-yard line. We'll see where they end up marking. A very, very well-rounded offense, this Hodgson Silver Eagles team. Not only do they have one guy who can pass and one guy who can run, they have several.
They really do. And I'm going to give a shout-out here. My cousin, Pat Henry, is the offensive line coach for Hodgson, and I'm guessing he had something to say at halftime because they have come out firing off the ball, especially on the left side here. Bobby Arnold is running with some great enthusiasm.
Healy keeps it for the first time tonight on purpose, and he's going to get all the way to the end zone. Touchdown, Henry.
John, that's one of the things. If you watch them on tape, Henry very, very rarely runs the ball. And that's what makes that so explosive. You're expecting to see Arnold run the ball. There's sometimes where he'll take 2 or 3 step drop and throw it out to one of the 4 wideouts. That time he takes his 2 or 3 step drop, cuts off to the right side. The defenders have all been pushed down toward the end zone by the receivers running their routes. Henry makes one cut, and he's off to the races. He's got great speed, great athleticism. He's a kid last year that ran a lot, has grown as a quarterback, and doesn't do it a lot anymore.
And so C.J. Henry runs it in. On the season, he's got 12 touchdowns coming in tonight, so that is his 13th touchdown of the season. The kick is up, and it is no good. So the second kick missed to the left by Josue Villa Lopez, and so the score is 34-7. Hodgson over Delaware Military Academy, just getting underway here in the third quarter. We'll be right back after this.
Unique Image opened for business in Wilmington, Delaware in 1979 with one focus, wowing our customers with great products and even greater customer service. 30 years later, we are still doing exactly that. Whether you're looking for marketing tools to promote your business, gifts for your employees or clients, or planning a special event, we're here with the voice of experience to help you every step of the way for your complete satisfaction. Visit our new showroom in the Mill Creek Shopping Center, 4577 Kirkwood Highway. Unique Image, you envision, we create.
To extend its lead to 34-7 here on DMA's homecoming. The keeper by C.J. Henry. He scampered 31 yards in for the score. The kickoff is away, and it looks like Hodgson is going to get it on the 20-yard line, works his way up to the 30, where DMA will take over first and 10.
You know, when we talked to one of the assistant coaches, Al Bucci, for DMA last week, he mentioned to us that their average starting field position was around their 42, 43-yard line. What we've seen is a pretty dramatic reversal this week without Karan Ali and Dior Boyd and the threat of big returns back there. This is, I would say, not the first time they've started inside the 30-yard line. So when you take away that threat, it's amazing the change in field position when teams are free to kick away.
We want to thank Al for 2 weeks in a row. Now he's given us great stats and also great commentary in the email about who's doing what, why it's happening, and so big help to us as we prepare for the broadcast. So thanks to Al for all of that help. First and 10, ball in the 30. DMA moving right to left. All Navy uniforms, Navy numbers, believe it or not, with some gold trim and the white helmets. Deal gets flushed out and gets hammered and then sandwiched, brought down. A double tackle there. Shimko was one of the guys in on the tackle. I believe it was
John,
Fitzgerald.
that was Fitzgerald again. Yes, he has been. You've called his name all kinds of times tonight in the backfield. He has been all over the place in the offensive backfield of DMA. He's done a really nice job. That time he spun him around. He spun Deal around, and Shimko finished him off with a pretty wicked, unintentionally wicked hit as he got spun right into him. So
it was unintentional, but it was about a 75-pound difference.
Yes, it was.
With Shimko and Fitzgerald going full speed. So a loss of 6, and it's back to the 24-yard line. Deal's back, a blitz, and he gets it out, and he has it over to Hodgson, and Hodgson scoots his way down the hash mark there on the right side, and he's going to get it up to about the 37-yard line, going to bring up a 3rd and 3.
John, I think if you're a DMA fan, one of the things you found out over the last 2 weeks is just how tough Joe Deal is as a quarterback. He has really hung in the pocket. He's taken some pretty good shots tonight. He's been able to hang in the pocket. He's not gotten a happy legs or throwing the ball up for grabs. He's done a nice job standing his ground, even though he knows he's going to take that hit.
3rd and 3 on the 37 for DMA. They trail 34-7, 8:45 to play. John Busby along with Marty Sheehan. Deal is in the shotgun formation. Going in motion is Oranzio. He's going to stop up the block. Instead, he's going to try to protect his quarterback. Deal rolls out. Has Oranzio on the right side, and Oranzio gets hammered, but not until he picks up the first down up at the 45-yard line.
That's just one play that Hodgson really hasn't adjusted well to tonight, and that's Deal rolling out to the right side, and McCloskey or one of the other receivers kind of just running a real short down and out about 5-6 yards down the field, and it's been open all night long, and Deal's starting to take advantage of it regularly.
And so it's on the right hash mark, moving right to left. 1st and 10 on their own 45-yard line. One wide receiver out to the left. That's Andrew Hodgson closest to us. Green is in the backfield. He, of course, has replaced Karan Ali, only a freshman. and it's Ordonzio who goes in motion, and he ends up with the ball coming toward us and gets brought down about 2 yards behind the line of scrimmage. So ran far east to west, but got brought down before he could head north.
And that's one of those jet screens that requires a good block by the running back, and unfortunately Devin Green, just not big enough to really have any effect. He wasn't able to slow down the linebacker or the defensive back enough to prevent him from coming around to make the tackle. So not a good play from the start by DMA.
2nd and 11 ball on the 45-yard line, a loss of 1. Now on the left hash mark, 3 wide receivers out to the right, deal with a quick out. And on the slant pattern on the inside, coming down with it, I believe that was Andrew Hodgson. And he's going to get up into Hodgson territory at the 49-yard line.
They've decided at halftime, it looks like Mike Ryan and company, they're going to go to the air more exclusively, and they're going to do it on short 3-step drops so that the pressure doesn't have a chance to get to deal. And they're using these slot receivers on short little down and ins, and they're taking great advantage of it right now. I would say this is one of their most impressive drives of the night.
Yeah, they've done it mostly through the air, having run only twice. And Aranzio goes in motion, and this time they run Devin Green, and he doesn't get hit, so he has a first down. Nice tackle there by number 8, Daniel Douglas, but a first down by Devin Green, and that's what it does when you start throwing the ball. It opens up holes.
That's exactly it. That's why I thought Karan Alim was so much more dangerous this season, because they started to develop a passing game. Unfortunately, with Boyd out, that's kind of been hamstrung a little bit, but they started to find the groove in the second quarter and here into the third, and you're right, Devin Green takes advantage of it with a nice run up the middle for a first down.
And so just as Hodgson was impressive, their first drive out of the locker room, Mike Ryan has to be happy with what he's seen. Remember, with a lot of the skills players who are basically backups, and it's a quick out, and this time it's over the head of Aranzio, incomplete down the left sideline. Actually down the left post, going to bring up a second down.
And that time it looked like Aranzio was expected by Deal to go out toward the sideline a little bit further. He cut off the route before Deal thought he would. One of the rare overthrows we've seen from Deal tonight. But again, Aranzio kid who's done a pretty nice job tonight. Not a name we called at all last week.
Only a junior, 5'10", 160 pounds, so he'll get some more playing time next year as well. It's a good experience. As you said, Marty, you pointed out, kind of injuries can be a good thing in terms of getting other guys time. You never want to see anybody get hurt, especially your 2 best offensive players. Be interesting to see who they call this on. The defense jumped over, then the offensive guy moved. There was no contact made either way. The defensive guy did not jump back and reset either, so it'll be one of those things where they're going to discuss and decide if the defensive guy forced the offensive guy to move. The fact that they didn't make contact would lead me to believe not, and that's exactly the call there. It's going to be a legal motion.
They're going to call Riley DeCaro there for starting a little bit quickly. As you said, that was kind of a 50-50 one where the referee, there was a jump by Hodgson, but he didn't make contact. He tried to get back. DeCaro moved, and it wasn't simultaneous, which is usually when they'll call that on the defense.
Right.
So nice call by the officials.
So it moves it back to the Hodgson 48-yard line, 2nd and 15. Devin Green is lined up by himself directly behind Deal, who is in the shotgun. A low snap, Deal gets it and hands it off and spun around and taken down. A nice tackle there by Tashawn Fitzgerald.
There's that
going to be loss of a couple.
Tashawn Fitzgerald just blasting through the line. He's coming. He's lining up at different spots in the linebacker position, but he is just blowing through the line on different occasions. That time it was almost set up as a run blitz. Took down Devin Green very quickly, and all of a sudden, I just said, of course, the jinx of that this was the best DMA drive of the night, and they've gone nothing but backwards since.
Backwards to a 3rd and 19 on their own 48-yard line. The original line of scrimmage was up at the Hodgson 43. I should say their last first down. It was there. Deal drops straight back, blitz is on, and he dumps it on a jailbreak screen or a delayed screen. Unfortunately, Austin Edmonds sees it go right in and out of his hands, going to bring on the punting unit for DMA.
And just nothing set up there anyway. Austin Edmonds, even if he had caught that pass, he might have gotten a few yards upfield, but Fitzgerald was again going to be in his face. Amir Mitchell, a nice time, that time on the blitz. Again, they let him through, but he did a nice job positioning himself where Deal needed to get rid of the ball a little bit quicker than he wanted. Edmonds again with the drop.
Cameron Thomas and Bobby Arnold will drop back to their own 25 to receive the punt. Deal is in to punt. He's doing the punting this week, which would normally give you a threat to pass, but with a big deficit, you're going to go ahead and punt it away. And Thomas is going to get it right on the 25-yard line where the pink ribbon is. And he runs backwards, still running backwards, still running backwards. A flag is down, and he's going to be brought down at the 15-yard line. So he ran about 30 yards sideways, 10 yards backwards.
We've
we'll
got
see
3
what happens with
flags
the
on the field.
Yeah.
So I'm guessing we've at least got 2 different flags.
Yeah.
But again, one of the things that also happens when Cameron Thomas does that, when you run east to west, there's so much more chance of an illegal block or a hold on your team. And that's happened routinely tonight. Maybe something they have to work with him. If he catches that ball, John, and just heads upfield, he's got 10 yards.
Right.
Instead, as you said, he runs back about 15 yards. It gets tackled and add a penalty on top of that.
And he's trying to make the big play.
He's
proven that he can.
Yes.
But at some point, you've got to do what's best for the team. And when you have a 34-7 lead halfway through the third quarter, or I should say more than halfway through. All right, so there's offsetting penalties here, and so they're going to offset, and so that means the ball is going to be at the 16-yard line, and that's where Hodgson will start moving left to right, north to south.
Now, I think he just called, I believe he just, I think DMA was sending their punt team back out. The officials signaled 4th down. This should be a re-kick. Yeah, that's what they're going to do. They're going to re-kick now. Coach Ryan sent his team out, and the referee stopped him, but it was the referees who had made the mistake there. With the offsetting penalties, you'll just replay this down, which, frankly, if you're Frank Moffitt, you love, because it couldn't get much worse than what had happened on the play before.
Cameron Thomas is still in, hoping to make amends.
Yes. It's an interesting punt return they have set up here at Hodgson. I saw this on tape, too. They set one guy off to our side. They have one guy in the middle, so they really do kind of force the punter. If you try to go to the opposite field, you risk kicking out of bounds, which we saw Deal do tonight. So it's an interesting way to approach the punt game.
And Deal's a right-footed punter, so his natural inclination would be to punt it to his left, which is where Cameron Thomas is. And so we're going to do it again here, 4th and long. Snap comes back, Deal kicks it away, and it does go to his left, and they're just going to watch this one out of bounds. And it's going to turn out a lot better for Hodgson when they end up marking this. And it's going to be right at Hodgson's 35-yard line. So that is where Hodgson will take over with 5:15 to play here, and a 34-7 lead. Hodgson, the number 3 team in Division I, behind number 1 Middletown and number 2 Smyrna, and DMA, the number 9 team, dropped down to 9 after their what we had to call an upset loss to St. Elizabeth. The St. Elizabeth team that isn't having any type of victory hangover. They went down and are taking care of Glasgow rather handily as we speak. Tonight's broadcast is presented by the U.S. Air Force. They want you to know there's a new recruiter in your area. Tech Sergeant Andrew Bugg. His office is on the riverfront in Wilmington. Stop by and find out about the exciting opportunities waiting for you in today's Air Force. 1st and 10, moving left to right, white uniforms, maroon pants. Man goes in motion. The give is up the middle to Bobby Arnold. He gets taken down behind the line of scrimmage. It's going to be a loss of about 3. They're going to give him his forward motion to the 31, 32-yard line. We'll see where it is.
And that's a great job. That might have been Orenzio again for DMA. Again, getting some extended time in there. But DMA, the front 4 has done a nice job all night, I think. They've tried to get pressure on C.J. Henry. They haven't always been successful, but the one thing that Mike Ryan has seen out of his team tonight is a lot of fight from some guys who haven't gotten a lot of time.
Loss of 3, and this is that jet sweep around the left side, and it's again to Cameron Thomas, who gets up close to the 40-yard line. Actually, they're going to call him. He must have stepped out of bounds on the far side after a pickup of about 4. Going to bring up a 3rd and 8.
The DMA linebacking crew read that right off of the snap. They pursued that very well, strung it out. And again, a play that Hodgson has run for a lot of yards a lot of times this season. DMA cuts it off for only a short game, and as you said, bring up 3rd and long.
Referee puts it down the 37-yard line. Need to get to the 45, so a 3rd and 8. Ball's on the left hash mark. 3 wide receivers out to the right. Bobby Arnold is on the right hip of C.J. Henry, 1 to the left. It's a fake to Arnold, and then a quick one over the middle. And coming down with the ball is Lally, and he gets around the right side into DMA territory, dragged out of bounds at about the 41-yard line. So a big first down play there.
And, John, I got to give credit where it's due. Cameron Thomas came around. He had an opportunity to make a blindside block, and he didn't. He used his speed to get in front of the blocker so he could see both of his numbers and hit him face-to-face, and that sprung Lewis for a little bit more on the gain. So a really nice job of execution by the Hodgson receiving corps.
First down at the DMA 40-yard line. Ball is still on the right hash mark. C.J. Henry brings the play in from the sideline. Hodgson with a 34-7 lead, 3:46 to play. If they were to score and get a two-point conversion, it would become a running clock situation. They're 40 yards away from deciding whether they would try to get that or not. It's quick out to the left side, and with the ball is Douglas, and Douglas is scampering to the end zone. It looks like they're going to have to make that decision. Touchdown, Daniel Douglas, a 40-yard scamper into the end zone. It's 40-7 Hodgson. I see no yellow flags, Marty.
No, and I talked earlier in the night. I was surprised that DMA was playing so much man-to-man. That was the perfect play against a man-to-man defense. C.J. Henry takes one step. He whips it out to the only senior on the team, Daniel Douglas. He makes his man miss, and then it's just a sprint to the end zone. They had three receivers to the other side, so they had guys running off the ball, and Douglas just too much speed for that Hodgson or the DMA defensive secondary. Great job of execution by the Silver Eagles.
So with 3:34 to play, it looks like Hodgson is going to go for the two-point conversion, and they're not doing this to rub it in.
No,
they're not
not
doing it
at
to get a
all.
running clock. This is what they do.
Yes.
If they miss a 1 point extra point, they try to immediately
Every time this
get it
season,
back.
every time they miss a PAT, they go for two on the next touchdown.
And so two wide receivers, man goes in motion right to left, and Henry fires, and it's incomplete. He was trying to get the ball to Elijah Lewis. Nice defense there by a couple of DMA players led by Andrew Hodgson. So the score is going to remain 40-7, 3:34 to play. We're going to take a break. You're listening to Game of the Week on iHeartRadio's Fox Sports 1290 and 302 Sports.
Too short to hate your home. Remodel your home with the pros voted Delaware's #1 home improvement company. Ferris Home Improvements has something for every homeowner at their new showroom on the corner of Kirkwood Highway and Harmony Road in Newark, Delaware. Explore products and layouts with the area's top designers. Touch and feel products that inspire your dream space. Ferris Home Improvements' pride in the details make them the area's best in roofing, windows and doors, siding, decks, kitchens, and bathrooms. Want a professional, no-pressure remodel? Go see the best at the Big Shamrock on Kirkwood Highway. Ferris Home Improvements. Quality workmanship from a neighbor you can trust.
Welcome back to Baynard Stadium. Hodgson has a 40-7 lead over DMA with 3:34 to play. The kickoff is taken by Hodgson at the 10-yard line, and he drives it up the middle. It's going to get to the 26-yard line where DMA will take over. Marty, we were 2 points shy of a running clock, and so DMA is going to try their best to get into the end zone just in case Hodgson comes back down and scores to try to avoid that.
They are, that's right. Small victories now for DMA. Again, we're in a situation where you want to do everything you can to run your offense, involve more of the young guys here again, try to get Devin Green going. I'm still surprised, and I know it's just maybe not something that they do in their offense, but I'd love to see Austin Edmonds more involved in the passing game here. This is a good time to work on things. You're against a Division I opponent. They've still got a fairly decent schedule coming up, so there's nothing going to be easy for DMA.
Karan Aline and Dior Boyd, the two best players on offense for DMA, out with injuries, suffered last week. Devin Green takes the ball around the left side. It's going to be taken down at about the 28-yard line, bring up a second down.
And this is going to be a huge game for Devin Green in terms of experience. This will be something he'll look back at and draw upon. He's done a nice job. He's made a lot of mistakes like any kid in his position would, but he's been thrown into a position where all they've asked him to do is replace the guy who Brad Myers ranked as the #1 player in the state at that position. So I think he's done a nice job filling in. It's a big moment for the freshman.
Give him a pickup of 3 to the 29. Going to bring up a 2nd and 7. Deal rolls out, fires to the right, overthrows McCloskey. Going to bring up a 3rd down.
And that was to Sean Fitzgerald again in his face, John. He has just been all over the place tonight. You know, I saw him on tape, and he wasn't really a guy in the earlier games that really stood out in terms of applying pressure on the quarterback. It's clear for whatever reason he's become a more focused part of that rush attack in tonight's game. He's lining up all over the place. He's lined up at all 3 linebacker positions. He's lined up on the end of the line. he's lined up at a defensive tackle position where he is now.
3rd and 7 on the 29, moving right to left, 3 wide receivers out to the right. Deal's going for it all down the sideline, and he's got his man. That's Andrew Hodgson with the catch, stays in bounds, and so it's going to be a first down into Hodgson territory. The second time those two have hooked up on long passes. They're going to mark it at the 47-yard line of Hodgson.
I'm not sure what happened there. He was left wide open in coverage. None of the Hodgson defensive backs went after him, and actually Hodgson just sent another player into the game, and I'm thinking it might have been number 24 who was responsible, John Broomall, the junior, who was supposed to be covering him out there and didn't.
He's getting a couple pat on the heads, like that's okay. Deal's going to come the other side, and he's going to try to hook up with Hodgson again. Hodgson makes the catch, but did he stay in bounds?
Wow.
Yes, he stayed in bounds. You're not going to see a lot of catches better than that, down at the 28-yard line. So they did it on the right sideline. They come right back on the left sideline.
Andrew Hodgson has really put on a clinic with some of these catches tonight. He had one down the near sideline going the other direction in the first half. That was a great adjustment to haul that in and keep 1 foot in bounds. So Andrew Hodgson, apparently the guy who's going to step up in this half in the absence of Dior Boyd.
And he's lining back up on the right. Let's
yes,
see if he
is.
goes right into the end zone. 1st and 10. They give us to Devin Green. They're on the left hash mark. He runs right up the left hash marks, and he picks up a few yards. We'll see where they end up marking. It looks like they're going to mark it at the 24. So a pickup of 3, going to bring up a 2nd and 7.
Green was running so hesitantly in the first half, too. He was doing some of that tiptoe action as he approached the line. He's gaining more confidence as the game goes on. Offensive line is getting a nice push up front. So, again, another good drive for DMA in the second half.
Green's had some playing time, but this is actually the first playing time
yes.
he's had where the game hasn't been a blowout
yes.
or with his team losing. He got some runs late in the game last week.
Yes.
They're going to take a timeout. We're going to keep it here, so it's going to be the first timeout for Hodgson in the second half. They have a 40-7 lead with 1:45 to play. Crown Trophy, People's Plaza, Newark is your one-stop shop for trophies, plaques, medals, and so much more. Crown Trophy, People's Plaza is a proud supporter of the Fox Sports 1290 Game of the Week and home of the Delaware State Championship Trophy and Mini Trophy. Visit Crown Trophy in People's Plaza, Newark, or online at crowntrophy.com. Special Olympics Delaware is always looking for qualified coaches or former players wanting to coach. The next seasons are bowling and then basketball. It takes just 2 hours a week for 8 weeks to make a difference. For more information, visit SODE.org. I wonder what Frank Moffitt's talking about over there in that huddle, Marty.
You know, I think this is a gut check for them. I think he's telling his guys, look, you know what, we've got a big lead, but this is no time to let down. There are going to be times in this season when we're going to need to dig deep. Let's show what we have right now. You know, it becomes, especially for a defense, it's so much about pride. It's part of what they do. The scheme can be one thing, but if the Jimmies and the Joes aren't really stepping up and giving all they have, it doesn't really matter. So I'm guessing there was a little personal challenge there, pride.
2nd and 7. Ball is on the 24-yard line. Man goes in motion left to right. The give is to Devin Green up the middle, and he gets a block and tries to get around the edge, taken down about 3 yards short of the first down. Going to bring up a 3rd, and we're going to call it 4.
I'm so impressed with him in the last quarter and a half. I mean, again, 5'4", 145 pounds. And, folks, if you're at the game or you're watching this on 302 Sports, the size is so pronounced. Watching him stand next to Deal in the backfield is almost comical. But he's a kid who has shown a lot of spunk, a lot of spirit, and some good moves, some good quickness.
Hodgson lined up on the left, Aranzio on the right. Ball is closer to the right hash mark than the left. And it's going to be another quick slant route. And Hodgson, the ball goes behind him. Deal gets knocked down. In on the rush was Amir Mitchell-Marvel, going to bring up a 4th down.
Unfortunately, it looked like he had McCloskey across the middle. If he had waited just a split second longer, McCloskey had left his linebacker behind and was wide open over the middle. But, again, one of those split-second decisions, and he's had pressure in his face a lot tonight, so I can't blame Deal for getting rid of the ball.
4th, and it looks like about 5. Tough for us to see the exact yardage marker here, and they don't put the yardage up on the scoreboard at Baynard Stadium. And Mike Ryan is going to take a timeout with 1:05 to play here in the third quarter. A big 4th down coming up. We're going to take it with him. Hodgson with a 47 lead over Delaware Military Academy here in the Game of the Week on Fox Sports 1290 and 302 Sports.
I'm Scott Cameron from Solo Concepts. Solo Concepts is an award-winning restaurant group on the culinary coast with 10 locations. We're a chef-driven group. Come check us out. See you soon. Solo Concepts believes in the vision of our founder, Matt Haley: cook beautiful, simple food, develop the people we work with, and make the world a better place. Solo Concepts on the culinary coast with 10 locations from Lois, Delaware to Fenwick Island. Come check us out.
John Busby with Marty Sheehan, Earl Holden back in our Newcastle studio. Hodgson with a 40-7 lead, 1:05 to play here over Delaware Military Academy. It is 4th and 5, ball on the 22-yard line for DMA coming out of a timeout. Austin Edmonds is going to line out on the right, 2 wide receivers to the left.
And Hodgson is playing press coverage on Andrew Hudson. This kind of feels like the time they've gone to him all night.
Hudson is on the left, as I said, closest to us. Aranzio lined up between Hudson and the line, and it looks like a penalty here. And
the only thing that didn't move was the ball.
Yeah.
The center even moved. The ball is still exactly where it was prior to the snap. I'm guessing this is going to be a false start on DMA.
Yeah, Deal looked over and made that signal to Mike Ryan. And, you know, when you come out of a timeout and you've just
That's
had your
tough.
whole team over together in a
Agreed.
huddle and you go over exactly what you're going to do,
That drives
that's
me
frustrating.
crazy
Now,
as a coach.
again, you mentioned the ball was still. This is a backup center because
Yes.
remember, Dante Pazzi, who was the starting center, unfortunately is out for the season with a compound fracture. And to the credit of the center, that's really the first mistake
They've
of the
really
night.
cleaned it up.
They have.
Absolutely. I agree. I'm glad you pointed that out.
And so it's now 4th and 10 instead of 4th and 5. Deal is going to roll out to the left, and he gets destroyed by Aiden Batista. I don't know how he hung onto the ball, but either way, it's going to be a turnover on downs.
That was actually Amir Mitchell, who's the
Oh,
team leader in sacks, number 32, coming flying in there. We really haven't heard a ton from him tonight, John. And he's the junior. He leads this team in sacks. He leads the team in tackles. It's really been, the Tashawn Lawrence show, and or Fitzgerald, but a great job there by Amir Mitchell when they needed it most on a 4th down. And you have to think Frank Moffitt has told his team, hey, guys, let's go down here, get the score, get this clock running, and go home.
I missed the number on that spin around. It was happened so quickly. Karan Aline over here on the sideline. Kind of consoling Deal. Deal's frustrated. You know, he knows they're not winning, but he wanted to put together one final drive here, get some consolation from Aline. And so it's going to be 1st and 10 on the 39 to give us to Arnold, and he's working his way forward, carrying about 4 DMA players with him, and he's going to get up to the 44-yard line, going to bring up a 2nd down.
And again, it's a score that's gotten out of hand, 40-7, but if you're Coach Ryan, there's a lot of positive things to take out of this game in terms of the grit, the determination, the spirit of your team. Again, the young guys who got to play and got some valuable experience. You're hoping that, the Maxwell, Dior, Boyd, Karan Aline, they're all going to be back sooner than later. But if not, at least some guys getting some good exposure, something that can only help the DMA team going forward.
And he told me it's a marathon, not a sprint in high school football, and we're only at week 5. Henry fakes the handoff, fires it out to the side, trying to get Lally, overthrew him, and it's going to bring up a 3rd down.
They were trying the exact same play that they ran the big touchdown the last time when they ran that little screen out to the left-hand side, but just a little bit overthrown, too much lead out in front by C.J. Henry there. One of the rare mistakes, really, the quarterback's made in the second half.
Jacob Cawthorey takes himself out of the game, limping a little bit. Last thing they need is more injuries. He's going to be replaced by Roman Greenlee, the freshman. So, again, another opportunity for a freshman or a sophomore to get in. 14 seconds left to play here in the 3rd quarter. This is going to be the final play, and it's going to be a touchdown. The handoff up the middle, and going for the score is Joshua Ames. A huge touchdown for Ames, 56 yards on the score, and that's going to get the clock running.
And Joshua Ames, John, is only a freshman.
Wow.
So these guys just keep getting younger and faster. Frank Moffitt keeps sending these kids out. This is his 3rd TD of the season. He came in with 8 carries for 124 yards. A nice hole opened up at the point of contact, the line of scrimmage. But then, boy, Ames hit it. He just turned on the burners and outran everybody to the end zone.
And so Avila Lopez is on for the extra point. It will be a running clock once the 4th quarter starts. We are at the end of the 3rd quarter, so, of course, they have to finish this play. Right now the score stands at 46-7. The running clock begins at the 35-point differential. The kick is up, and it is good. So we're going to come to the end of the third quarter here with your score. Hodgson 47, DMA 7. We'll be back to the fourth quarter right after this.
Military wife, I love helping our airmen and their families with financial tools to help provide financial stability.
I promise to make a positive difference in your financial life, from helping you to lower your payments to discovering ways to help you save for your children's future.
From the needs of college students and first-time auto buyers, I promise to identify and take ownership of your needs.
Local people, local decisions, Dover Federal Credit Union.
As a military
Clock situation. We got one left, right? It's a running clock situation here at Baynard Stadium as a 56-yard touchdown run by the freshman Josh Ames puts Hodgson up 47-7 as we get set to start the fourth quarter. Hodgson, of course, leading Delaware Military Academy. Unfortunately, celebrating homecoming tonight. It's not going to be quite as festive as a big upset win would have been. But, you know, Marty, nobody expected them to upset Hodgson, and then especially when Karan Aline and Dior Boyd go down, your chances get really slimmer. And so, you know, they have a lot of positives to take out of tonight's game. They put together a couple drives that they just couldn't punch it in, and then, of course, the one that they did. Devin Green's going to take the kickoff on the 8-yard, fakes the handoff to Hodgson, and it gets dragged down from behind. His forward motion was stopped, and in on that tackle was Emil Mitchell Marvel there. And so DMA will take over. Clock is running here with that 47-7 lead.
And speaking of homecoming festivities, you mentioned, it's never a good sign when Dante Pazzi and Dior Boyd are both in street clothes, two of your better players on the homecoming court. One of them is on crutches with a cast, and the other's in street clothes not playing. So, yeah, all in all, not the greatest homecoming game for DMA. I hope the festivities and the dance this weekend will be a little bit more fun for the team. But, again, I still think their season is exactly where they want it to be in terms of everything that they want to accomplish still being there in front of them to do so.
They do regret the loss to St. Elizabeth, and
Yes.
that might be something if they end up not making the playoffs for whatever reason. That will be a loss that they will look at that they probably should have won. Although St. Elizabeth is appearing to be a better team than a lot of people thought with their big win again tonight over Glasgow. Rollout on the pass there for Deal. Finds his man at the 25-yard line. Again, the clock is running. Looks like it's going to be about a yard shy of the first down. Going to bring up a 2nd and 2 is what it's going to end up being.
You know, and it's going to be a blowout win for Hodgson, but I'm impressed again with Joseph Deal. I think this was a nice comeback game for him after really struggling through 4 quarters against St. Elizabeth. He's really kind of stepped up and come into his own tonight in a losing effort, but I like the leadership. I like the ability.
Devin Green, the lone back, directly behind him. Deal in a pistol formation, one wide receiver out on each side, and a snap comes back. Deal drops it. Devin Green wisely picks it up, has it, and is working his way forward. I think he maybe got back to the original line of scrimmage.
I do too, and I'm not sure. Again, we can't really see the numbers. I'm not sure if they've changed centers, but that was the 2nd straight snap that went right into the ground. We have an injured player here for Hodgson on the ground, so they'll take time to come treat him.
And that will they will stop the clock for that. So with 9:55 to play in a running clock situation, we are also going to take our final timeout here from Baynard Stadium. We're in the fourth quarter. Hodgson with a 47-7 lead. You're listening to the Game of the Week on iHeartRadio's Fox Sports 1290 and watching it on the live stream with 302 Sports.
Began his career in home finance in 2002 as a mortgage consultant. Since 2002, Brian has helped over 1,000 home buyers achieve their dreams of owning a home. Brian's knowledge of current market conditions and his detailed evaluation of buyers' finances ensures that each buyer will receive the best mortgage to fit their needs. Brian is often commended on how efficient and effortless he makes the mortgage process for everyone from first-time home buyers to investors to experienced buyers. For the loan that fits you, contact Brian today. Sir.
Down there on the 15-yard line. Looks like they might just be trying to stretch a cramp out. We're at that point of the game with 9:55 to play. Hodgson with a 9-7 lead. John Busby along with Marty Sheehan. Don't forget, coming up, the iHeartRadio postgame show presented by American Spirit Federal Credit Union, bringing you Kasasa checking. Ask for free Kasasa checking by name at American Spirit Federal Credit Union in Newark, Middletown, and Dover. Visit AmericanSpirit.org. A big thanks to our partner NKN Films for their outstanding design on our 2018 high school football schedule poster. Visit nknfilms.com for all your video needs.
That poster does get nicer every year. They do a phenomenal job.
They
on that
really
poster.
do. Third down and 2 for DMA. I imagine this is not a two-down territory given the 47-7 score. And the snap is a little low. Deal comes away with it. Fires, has his man. Don't have to worry about a second down because it's first down for DMA up to the 34-yard line. He and Hodgson have hooked up quite a bit tonight.
He has. I've been really impressed with Andrew Hodgson. And, again, this is one of those games where Deal had been going to Deal or Boyd a lot during the season. He's developing a great rapport with Andrew Hodgson, the 5'10", 170-pound senior. So that can only help this team going forward.
So the clock is running. It'll be under 9 minutes to play when they snap the ball here. Two wide receivers out to the right, nobody out to the left. Devin Green is in the backfield, and they're going to try to find Hodgson again. Same exact pass pattern, same exact result on the slant pattern there. Hodgson picks up a first down. They're going to mark it at the 48-yard line, and he's getting up a little gingerly. Took a couple big hits there.
You know what? I was just getting ready to say he has taken a lot of punishment tonight. He's done a lot of that over-the-middle dirty work, John, that we talk about, that you're going to get popped a lot, but he stays in there. He makes the catch, a really tough kid. And, again, I think he's one of those guys that's turning out to be somebody that Joseph Deal can depend upon when he gets rid of the football.
First down and 10, ball on the 48-yard line. 2 straight passes completed, 2 straight first downs, 2 wide receivers out to the left. Deal is going to look to the right and then go back to the left. Has his man on a little bubble screen there. Was that Hodgson again? Or
that was Amir Mitchell. That came in there and made the hit. He did a great job. He was actually defending another one of the receivers who was going to block. He threw him out of the way to make that tackle. So Amir Mitchell, who's had, again, a pretty quiet night in terms of what he's done this season so far. He's been quiet in terms of us mentioning him. He still had a solid game, but again, they're asserting himself, and he's one of the stars of this defense.
It was Aranzio on the reception, got hit pretty hard, and they brought somebody off. Somebody got hit in the head there, and they brought him off to fix his helmet. It's not Aranzio. Didn't catch the number.
Yeah, one of the offensive linemen. It looks like an equipment issue. Maybe his chin strap came undone.
Loss of about half a yard there. It's between the 47 and the 48. It's going to be 2nd and 11, no matter how you look at it. 2 wide receivers to the left. DMA moving left to right. They're on the left side of the field to give it to Devin Green, and he has a quick burst of speed, picks up a few yards before he gets dragged back, but he is into Hodgson territory. They're going to mark it at the 49-yard line.
I'm really, again, broken record time. I've been really impressed with Devin Green in this second half. For only a freshman of his stature, he looks like a kid that's going to have some potential here. And again, Karan Aline is only 5'10", 165, 170 pounds. I mean, he's a guy that does a lot, not great big size. So Green's a kid that's shown a lot of quickness, some ability to run in between the tackles.
Ball's exactly in the middle of the hash marks, and it's almost in the middle of the field, marked at the 49-yard line. Deal drops back, fires to the left, and a nice defensive play there. Came down with a catch, but it's going to be a loss of 1. In on the tackle there was Makai Ross.
Makai Ross, a great job in coverage there. You're right. That was a dangerous throw. That looked like a 50-50 ball when Deal let it go, but a great job by the DMA receiver. Again, very difficult all the way across the field to make out the number there. But, boy, if you're designing uniforms, folks, let's say you can't do worse than Hodgson. I mean, these are some of the easier
DMA
numbers.
Oh,
no, I mean, in terms of
better,
easy,
right?
yeah. The other way, we'll talk about DMA.
And so into punt, Joey Deal stays into punt, and dropping back for Hodgson is Najee Lally and Bobby Arnold. And the rush is on, kind of a partial rush here, and they kick it, and it's going to end up over in Arnold's hands on the 22-yard line. Flag is down. It's going to be 2 flags down. And so Arnold's going to end up being knocked out of bounds at the 42-yard line. I think this one's going to end up coming back.
Wow, if you're Frank Moffitt, this game would make you contemplate calling a fair catch on everything from this
Right.
from the rest of the season on out. They have literally been called for a penalty on, I'd say, 90% of the kicking plays in this game. And that one, you had a simple return where Bobby Arnold caught it, turned upfield, got about 20 yards, and you had 2 separate flags fly in. So this is definitely something Hodgson's going to have to clean up. Put it this way, they are not going to be able to survive against a team like Middletown or maybe even William Penn making these kinds of mistakes.
Right. And giving up points. Remember,
Yes.
this is early in the first
That's
half.
right.
They had 3 touchdowns called back. That's 21 points. And sure enough, it is 2 penalties, and it's going to be brought back. It'll be a first down on the 15-yard line is where Hodgson will take it. They've got a 47-7 lead. Running clock, it's going to be under 5 minutes before they get this ball
And, you know,
off.
you're right, Johnny. Talk about something you don't see in the box score. Those 21 points, unless you're here or watching on 302 or listening to us, you have no idea that Hodgson left so much on the field tonight.
Well, and as you said a couple times, along with that series, they overthrew 2
That's
wide
right.
receivers
That's right.
that would have been touchdowns as well. The give is up the middle, and trying to get away from everybody there was Joshua Ames, already scampered for 1 touchdown, picked up a first down. He got up to the 33-yard line there, so he thought he almost had it.
He smelled out, and then you saw the crowd, the Hodgson crowd started to rise a little
Right.
bit, which is hard to do in a 40-point game in the fourth quarter, but Josh Ames got him going there, and that was a great shoestring form tackle at the end there to bring Josh Ames down, prevent another score to top 50 for Hodgson.
Looks like all the starters are out. Is that C.J. Henry still in? I can't see the angle of
It
his
looks like
jersey.
they've changed quarterbacks.
They have changed quarterbacks. This time the give is around the left side. That's a jet sweep again. Mekhi Ross has it. DMA not fooled by that one. Ends up taking him down. It's going to be a loss of 3 on that one. In at quarterback is Xavier Jones, the junior, actually older than the starting
That's
quarterback.
funny.
And
Yeah, I
older
was
than a
going
lot
to
of
say,
the
you don't normally
scorekeepers.
see that. Yeah, you've got, again, C.J. Henry is just one of the more impressive quarterbacks. When I was talking to the Hodgson assistant, Al Bucci, before the game, I said, boy, I see him as no worse than the 3rd or 4th best quarterback right now in the state of Delaware. He's got so much potential. He's still got 2 more years after this, and they are loaded with young talent at every skill position, John.
2 wide receivers out to the right. Ames is in the backfield on the right hip of Xavier Jones. 2 wide receivers also to the left in motion. That's John Broomall from left to right. And the give is to Ames, and he worked his way up the middle to about the 39-yard line. And that's going to bring up a 4th down, 3rd down.
And right on
4th
cue,
down.
another one of the freshmen, Josh Ames, who had the huge run earlier, who almost broke one a few plays ago. Another nice run here. So, again, all of this offensive talent on the Hodgson side, and some of them don't even get into the game in meaningful situations. Josh Ames is just not a guy who gets a ton of meaningful carries. That may change as the season wears on.
It is 3rd down. Scoreboard still has 4th down, but the yardage marker has 3rd down. Ames in the shotgun. It's Mitchell in the shotgun. Ends up handing it off to Ames. Ames on the move. One man to beat. Gets tripped up at the last minute and knocked out of bounds, but not until he gets up almost to the 20-yard line of DMA.
Yeah, it's funny. It's almost like Josh Ames said to himself, hey, if I'm only going to get a quarter of action, I'm going to make this stuff count. I'm going to try to go for 100. He's had he had the huge run. He's got to be close to 100 yards.
Yeah,
and he's got to be less than 10 carries for the game. So, I mean, just a great job of coming in again. Just a freshman who's getting a ton of experience against a quality opponent.
It was Jones that handed it off, not Mitchell there in the scrum. Under 2 minutes to play here. And Jones drops back and gets pressure, and he gets out to the left side. Brinton for the sideline, avoids one big hit, gets knocked out of bounds, and the clock will still continue to run because of the running clock and the 47-7 lead. 1:45 to play. They're going to mark him out at the 17-yard line. He almost took a huge hit.
I was going to say, and even the backup quarterback with some great athleticism, Xavier Jones there with a really nice run to avoid pressure. I was kind of surprised. They were actually going to throw that football, which I guess if you're Frank Moffitt, you know, there's not many opportunities left in the season where you're going to get a kid like Xavier Jones in. So I guess I don't mind if you're looking down the field. It's not a case of trying to run up points at all.
And so it's going to bring up a 2nd and 2. Ball is marked on the 17-yard line. They're on the left hash mark, moving right to left as we see it. Xavier Jones is under center, and he is just going to take a knee.
That's
so
classy.
Frank Moffitt got the work in he wanted for his 2nd team here in the last couple series, and then class move by a class man takes a knee, and they'll just let this run out under a minute to play. So Hodgson is going to move to 5-0. DMA is still going to be above 500. They're going to be at 3-2. as both these teams leaving Baynard Stadium like you would have thought they would.
Yes.
A win, and it's a bigger win than you would have thought when we looked at the schedule and we put our schedule together. But when you're missing your two best offensive players, Karan Aline and Dior Boyd, who, let's face it, make up about 85% of the offense, the final outcome probably is about what people would thought. Another knee is taken, and that is going to do it. Both teams are going to line up at midfield. It's all over at Baynard Stadium. The Hodgson Silver Eagles, number 3 team in the state, are going to drive back south home with a 47-7 victory over Delaware Military Academy, the Seahawks. When we come back, we'll have your post-game report here. We'll go over the scoring, name our Crown Trophy player of the game, and talk about our game next week. You've been listening to the Fox Sports 1292.